Welcome to Kind Sleep Wiki, your ultimate destination for mind-bending knowledge. Today, we're plunging into 60 fascinating paradoxes and dilemmas, a meticulously curated collection of the most intriguing paradoxes. From internet-famous conundrums like the twin paradox, unexpected hanging paradox, and black hole information paradox to the profound puzzles taught in university lecture halls. We've scoured the web and academic sources as of 2025 to bring you not just the classics, but also fresh, lesser-known paradoxes that might just blow your mind for the first time. Trust us, you're in for a wild ride. We're breaking free from stale, textbook explanations, weaving in the latest insights and connecting these brain twisters to real-life scenarios. Whether you're a curious thinker or just love a good intellectual flex, this video will arm you with knowledge to become the most captivating conversationalist in any room. By the end, you'll have at least 60 brilliant insights to share, leaving your friends and colleagues in awe. So, buckle up, hit that subscribe button, and let's unravel the mysteries of the universe together. Grandfather Paradox. Let's dive into the Grandfather Paradox, one of the wildest puzzles in time travel. Picture this: you hop into a shiny time machine, zip back to 1950, and accidentally prevent your grandfather from meeting your grandmother. Maybe you distract him at a dance, and they never fall in love. No love, no parents, no you. But wait, if you were never born, how are you here messing with the past? That's the Grandfather Paradox, and it's a real head-scratcher. This paradox pops up when we think about changing the past in a way that wipes out the cause of our own existence. It's like pulling the rug out from under yourself. If you stop your grandparents' meeting, you'd never exist to travel back and cause the chaos. So, does the universe just crash? Or is time travel impossible? Scientists and philosophers have been wrestling with this for decades. One idea to solve it is the block universe theory. Imagine time as a fixed, unchanging movie reel. Everything's already set, past and future. You can't change it because your trip to 1950 was always part of the timeline. Maybe your interference at the dance somehow caused your grandparents to meet differently. Mind-blowing, right? Another fix is the parallel universes theory. Every time you meddle with the past, you split off a new timeline. In one universe, your grandparents meet, and you're born. In another, you stop them, and that timeline has no you. You're safe in your original universe, but now there's a new reality where you never existed. It's like cosmic choose-your-own-adventure. Then there's the self-consistency principle, from physicist Igor Novikov. It says the universe won't let you create paradoxes. If you try to stop your grandfather, something, like a flat tire, or a random phone call, will always get in the way. The past stays consistent, no matter how hard you try to mess it up. So, what does this mean for us? The Grandfather Paradox isn't just sci-fi fun, it forces us to question time, free will, and reality itself. Could you really change the past, or are we all just actors in a fixed script? Next time you're drifting off, imagine hopping into that time machine. Would you risk it, knowing the universe might have tricks up its sleeve? Sleep on that, curious dreamers. Ship of Theseus. Ever heard of the Ship of Theseus? It's a head-scratcher that's been puzzling philosophers for centuries. If you replace every part of a ship, one plank at a time, is it still the same ship? It sounds simple, but it gets complicated fast. Picture this: Theseus sails back, and his ship is put on display. Over time, the planks rot, so they're replaced. Eventually, there's not a single original piece left. Is it still Theseus' ship? That's the question. Philosophers have wrestled with this, and there are a few schools of thought. First, there's the idea of form. Aristotle thought the essence of something is its form, its purpose. If the ship still looks, floats, and sails like a ship, then it's still the same ship, even if the materials are different. Then, there's the material perspective, arguing that the original stuff matters. If you replace all the planks, it's a different ship because it's made of different stuff. Like Grandma's cookie recipe, if you swap out all the ingredients, is it still Grandma's cookie? There's also the function angle. If the ship still performs its original function, sailing, does it matter if the parts are new? It's like a car, you replace the tires, the engine. Even the body, but if it still drives, it's still the same car, right? And we have the continuity perspective, arguing that if the ship was maintained through a gradual replacement process, it maintains a continuous identity. Even though every plank is new, the ongoing maintenance links it to the past. This is similar to how we view our own identities: we change, but we still feel like the same person. Finally, the cognitive perspective sees the ship of Theseus as an organized structure with perceptual continuity. Not just a collection of parts, but an entity with a continuous identity. Okay, that's the theory, but how does this apply to real life? Well, it's everywhere. Think about your own body. Every few years, almost all the cells are replaced. Are you still the same person you were 10 years ago? Your memories, your personality evolve, but there's still a sense of you that persists. Consider cultural heritage. When the Sungnyuman Gate in Korea was destroyed by fire in 2008 and rebuilt, was the rebuilt gate the same cultural asset? The discussion relates to the ship of Theseus paradox. What about technology? As AI gets advanced, and AI systems start learning and changing, is it still the same AI that the programmers created? If an AI evolves beyond its original design, who is responsible for its actions? This brings up ethical questions. And data ownership? If data stored in the cloud gets modified, is it still your original data software updates? Each time we update a program, is it the same software? It might have new features and bug fixes, but is it fundamentally the same thing? There is also the metaphysical problem of personal identity. What is the basis of the self's identity? So, the ship of Theseus isn't just some abstract puzzle. It's a way of thinking about change, identity, and what really matters. There's no single right answer, and that's the point. It encourages critical thinking and considering different perspectives. From one point of view, everything can be the ship of Theseus, and from another point of view, nothing can be the ship of Theseus. What's important is to keep an open mind and explore the possibilities. Ever feel swamped by choices? Like, wanting a simple coffee, but the barista offers a menu longer than a CVS receipt? That's the paradox of choice hitting you. So, what's this paradox? It's the idea that more choices don't always equal more happiness. Too many options can lead to paralysis, anxiety, and regret. With few options, picking is easy. But faced with dozens, even hundreds, the pressure to choose perfectly overwhelms. Let's use examples. Imagine streaming a movie. Once, you watched TV. Now, there's Netflix, Hulu, Prime Video, Disney+, HBO Max, endlessly. You browse more than watch, right? Even after picking, you wonder if it's right. Maybe a better movie awaits. That's choice overload. Or dating apps? Swipe left, swipe right, countless profiles. A dream, right? Wrong. Options complicate commitment. You think someone better might be out there? This fear of missing out, FOMO, can ruin relationships. Even groceries become a minefield. Cereal aisle? Marshmallows, fiber, organic, gluten-free? It's dizzying. You second-guess, wondering if another brand was better. Why does this happen? Several factors. First, evaluating options takes effort, time, and drains you. Second, opportunity cost rises. Choosing one thing means losing others, causing regret if unsatisfied. Finally, expectations soar. Many options make you expect perfection, leading to disappointment. But there's hope. Cope by limiting options. Instead of all streaming services, pick one or two. When shopping, set a budget and list, stick to it. Focus on good enough, not best. Perfection is the enemy of good. Settle for meeting needs, even if imperfect. Also, appreciate choices made. Instead of dwelling on what's missed, value the decision's positives. This reduces regret, boosts satisfaction. Finally, mistakes happen. Everyone errs. Learn from them, move on. Don't let fear paralyze you. In endless choices, feeling overwhelmed is easy. Understanding the paradox, using these strategies, helps regain control, decide confidently. Next time you face infinite choices, breathe, remember these tips, and choose wisely. You got this. Lottery Paradox. Imagine holding a lottery ticket, a hopeful slip. Thousands exist, but one wins. The lottery paradox emerges when considering any single ticket's winning odds. Incredibly unlikely, right? We can confidently say most tickets won't win. Here's the paradox. If we say no single ticket will win, that's impossible since one must. It's a head-scratcher about probability and reasonable belief. Think of a baseball game. A foul ball might hit you, but it's unlikely, so you sit. Everyone thinks likewise, a small chance means no worry. But someone gets hit. The lottery paradox highlights handling these minor, real risks. Consider medical tests. A doctor says you're 99% disease-free. Great news. You likely believe you're healthy. But there's 1%, isn't there? If many test, some get false positives. The paradox reminds us probable beliefs can err when broadly applied. What about flying? Airlines claim it's safe, accidents rare. We believe them, fly, and arrive safely. But accidents happen. If we exaggerated, unlikely, we'd never fly, fearing our flight's exception. It balances probability trust with improbable reality. How navigate this? No perfect answer, but the lottery paradox suggests belief awareness. It asks when to act as if something's true, despite a tiny chance it isn't. It balances trusting odds and knowing they aren't guarantees. It's more than a game, it's risk perception, decisions, and world understanding. Next lottery ticket, remember the paradox. Enjoy hope, but recall even if you probably won't win, someone will. It's the fun and frustration of living with probability. Friendship Paradox. Ever feel like your friends lead more exciting lives? Social media shows parties, vacations, adventures while you're home. That's the friendship paradox. Your friends, on average, have more friends than you. Sounds odd, right? Let's explore. It's not about being unpopular but a mathematical concept. In 1991, sociologist Scott L. Feld studied high school friend groups and found most students had fewer friends than their friends did. Seems illogical, but it's pretty simple. Popular people inflate the average. They have tons of friends, so most people end up below that average. Consider social media. Scrolling through Instagram on Sunday, you see friends at brunch, the beach, concerts. You feel like you're missing out, like everyone's more exciting. Remember the friendship paradox. The people having fun are super social, with many connections. They're naturally visible, making it seem like everyone's living it up. It's a trick of perspective. The friendship paradox explains disease spread. Researchers Christakis and Fowler used it to predict epidemics. People with more friends are likelier to get sick due to more contacts. Tracking the friends of random people gives earlier outbreak warnings. It's using social networks to fight a virus. The paradox applies beyond popularity or disease. It includes income, happiness, or research papers. Basically, your friends seem better in whatever metric you consider. It doesn't mean you're failing, but the people you're connected to are well connected. The math is complex, involving the Cauchy-Schwarz inequality, but the idea is simple. People with connections impact the average. Like rich people skewing a country's average income. The super-connected raise the average, making others seem less connected. Next time you feel down because friends seem better, remember the friendship paradox. It's not your worth, but a social network quirk. Everyone experiences it, it's normal. It makes you feel better about your place in the world. Understanding the friendship paradox helps you make life decisions. If friends are likelier to face risks like disease, protect yourself. If friends are successful in business, learn from them. The friendship paradox gives perspective on social networks, also giving you the ability to make informed decisions. So, next time you scroll social media and feel left out, or compare yourself, remember the friendship paradox. Your friends likely have more friends. It's statistical, not personal. Embrace your path and enjoy your experiences, online or not. You're fantastic. Catch-22. Ever heard of the Catch-22? Originating from a war novel. This term now describes paradoxical situations in our lives. Let's uncover its meaning, origin, and applications. Catch-22 signifies a no-win situation, a dilemma where escape seems impossible. The term comes from Joseph Heller's Catch-22, a satirical World War II novel about Yossarian, a bombardier desperate to avoid dangerous missions. The catch is a fictional military rule stating a pilot can be grounded for insanity. However, requesting grounding proves sanity, disqualifying him. Wanting to fly more is crazy, but avoiding it means you're sane and must continue, a self-contradictory trap. The novel portrays war's absurdity and bureaucratic madness, where logic is twisted, and individuals are trapped by irrational rules. Characters are driven by self-preservation within this illogical system. How does Catch-22 appear in daily life? Consider the job market. Many entry-level jobs require experience, but how can you gain experience without being hired? It's a frustrating catch-22. You need experience to get the job, but the job to gain experience. Another example is healthcare. Treatment requires a diagnosis, but diagnosis needs expensive tests unaffordable without insurance. This cycle leaves people uncertain and unwell. Catch-22 also occurs in relationships. You want to build trust, but the other person trusts only after you prove trustworthy, which requires initial trust. Building a strong relationship becomes difficult. The brilliance of Catch-22 is encapsulating these frustrating situations in a simple phrase. It highlights contradictions when rules outweigh common sense or well-being. Faced with a catch-22, recognition is the first step. Understanding the paradox helps. Sometimes, challenging assumptions or creatively circumventing rules is the only way out. In conclusion, catch-22 reflects the absurdities in our world. Understanding its meaning helps us navigate challenging situations and perhaps break free. I hope this clarified Catch-22. Unexpected hanging paradox. Let's explore the unexpected hanging paradox, a puzzle that has intrigued people for ages. Imagine a judge sentencing a prisoner to be hanged sometime next week, unexpectedly. The prisoner won't know the day until it happens. Seems simple, right? Not so fast. The prisoner thinks, it can't be Friday, because if I'm alive Thursday evening, I'll know it's Friday. No surprise then. Friday's out. Then, Thursday's out too, because if Friday is impossible, and I'm here Wednesday night, it's Thursday. No surprise. This eliminates Wednesday, Tuesday, even Monday. Aha, I can't be hanged at all, never a surprise. But the executioners, being sneaky, hang him on Wednesday. Total surprise. How? The paradox. Logic leads to a false conclusion. The paradox lies in unexpected. The prisoner's reasoning is his knowledge, but the judge's statement is about the prisoner's mindset at execution. Where's this in real life? More places than you think. Medical treatments, for one. One doctor recommends a treatment based on evidence, another suggests the opposite using different evidence. Knowing what's right is hard. Surprising, it's a medical opinion paradox. Ever had a surprise party? You know it's coming, but not when. Still surprised when it happens. It's the when. Similar to the paradox. Consider unexpected tests. A teacher announces a surprise quiz next week. Students use the prisoner's logic. Can't be Friday, because they conclude no quiz, then bam, Wednesday, quiz time, surprise. It's expectation versus reality. A surprise marriage proposal fits too. Suspect it, but the moment's unknown. Still a surprise when it happens, even expected. The paradox sneaks into romance. This is more than a brain teaser, it touches philosophical questions, how we know things, how logic fails. Some see self-reference, the statement refers to itself creating a loop. Others see knowledge, what we know influences what we expect. Either way, the unexpected hanging paradox reminds us logic isn't foolproof. Life throws curveballs our brains can't predict, making it interesting. The paradox highlights predicting versus genuine surprise. The prisoner predicted no surprise, but it happened. A real head-scratcher. Next time you think you've figured something out, remember the prisoner. Paradox of hedonism. The paradox of hedonism, it sounds fancy, right? But don't worry, it's actually a pretty simple idea that pops up in our everyday lives. Basically, it means that if you aim for happiness directly, you might actually miss it. Think of it like trying to catch a shadow. The harder you chase it, the further it seems to run away. So, what's the deal? Why can't we just go for what makes us happy and, well, be happy? The problem is, when happiness becomes the main goal, it changes how we do things. Let's say you love playing the guitar. If you play because you enjoy the music and the challenge of learning, you're probably having a blast. But if you start playing just to impress people or become famous, suddenly it feels like work. The joy is gone, and you're just chasing a goal that might not even make you happy when you get there. It's like when you're a kid and you can't wait for Christmas. The anticipation is half the fun, right? But if all you focus on is getting those presents, you might miss out on the family time, the decorations, the cookies, all the stuff that actually makes Christmas special. The happiness isn't just about the gifts, it's about the whole experience. Another example is trying to find the perfect job. If you're only thinking about the salary and the fancy title, you might end up in a job that makes you miserable. Maybe it's boring, or the people are awful, or it just doesn't fit who you are. But if you focus on finding something that's meaningful, something that challenges you and lets you use your skills, you're much more likely to find a job that actually makes you happy, even if it doesn't pay as much or sound as impressive. So, what's the secret to avoiding this paradox? It's all about focusing on other things besides happiness itself. Find a hobby you love, spend time with people you care about, work towards goals that are meaningful to you, and help others. These things might not make you happy all the time, but they'll give you a sense of purpose and fulfillment, and that's often a much better path to happiness than chasing it directly. Think about volunteering, for instance. You're not doing it to make yourself happy, you're doing it to help others. But often, helping others makes you feel good about yourself, gives you a sense of connection, and makes you realize how lucky you are. That's a much more sustainable kind of happiness than, say, buying a new car that you'll get tired of in a few months. It's also important to remember that happiness isn't a constant state. It's okay to feel sad, or angry, or frustrated sometimes. Life is full of ups and downs, and if you're always trying to be happy, you're going to be disappointed. Instead, focus on being resilient, on learning from your mistakes, and on growing as a person. That way, even when things are tough, you'll still have a sense of purpose and direction. So, the next time you're feeling down, don't beat yourself up about it. Don't try to force yourself to be happy. Instead, ask yourself what's important to you, what makes you feel alive, and what you can do to make a difference in the world. The happiness might just follow. The paradox of hedonism is a tricky thing, but once you understand it, you can start to see it everywhere. It's a reminder that the best things in life aren't always the things we chase directly, but the things we find along the way. So, stop chasing happiness and start living a life that's meaningful to you. You might be surprised at how happy you become. Twin Paradox. Let's explore the twin paradox. Imagine twin siblings. One stays on Earth, living a normal life, while the other takes a super-fast spaceship for a long journey. When the space-traveling twin returns, they're younger than their Earth-bound sibling. Wild, right? This comes from Einstein's relativity theory. Before picturing yourself as a time-defying space explorer, let's break down why this happens. The key is time dilation. Special relativity says time passes differently at different speeds. The faster you move, the slower time passes relative to someone still or moving slower. Think of cruising down the highway. Scenery seems faster than to someone relaxing at a roadside picnic. Here's where it's tricky. Can't each twin say they're still, and the other's moving? Shouldn't they see each other aging slower? That's the paradox. Fascinating, isn't it? The resolution is the space-traveling twin isn't at a constant speed. They accelerate to speed up, decelerate to turn, then accelerate back. These accelerations break the symmetry. The Earth twin barely accelerates, staying in an inertial frame. To nail this, bring in general relativity, gravity and acceleration. Acceleration relates to gravity. More gravity, slower time. When the spaceship accelerates, the twin feels artificial gravity, making their time slower than the Earth twins. Like a mini black hole briefly. From the space twin's view, something weirder happens turning around. Imagine flipping your view. The universe shifts, the Earth twin's timeline jumps forward. Like fast-forwarding through time because of extreme acceleration, deceleration. When the space twin returns, the Earth sibling is older. Latest views stress the asymmetry from acceleration and needing both relativity theories to understand. It's not just speed. Acceleration is a time machine switch, making one twin age slower. Essentially, if you space travel, remember you'll return a bit younger. Don't be shocked if Earth friends have more wrinkles and gray hairs. The universe reminds us time's relative, space travel bends time itself. Sorites Paradox. Let's explore the Sorites Paradox, also known as the paradox of the heap. The question is, how many grains of sand make a heap? One grain isn't a heap, but adding one grain at a time, when does it become a heap? That's the core. Imagine, 0 grains, not a heap. Add 1, still not a heap. Each grain alone doesn't transform it. But eventually, you'll agree it's a heap. Where was the tipping point? It's unclear. This shows how vague some words are. Let's see how this appears in real life. When does someone become bald? A person with 100,000 hairs loses one. Are they bald? No. Lose another, still no. But keep going, hair by hair. Eventually, they'll have few hairs, and you'd say they're bald. Where was the moment they crossed from not bald to bald? There's no single hair that makes the difference. How about wealth? When does someone become rich? $1, not rich. 1,000, still probably not. But 1,000,000? 10 million? At some point, people agree you're rich. But there's no clear line. Adding $1 doesn't make you rich, but the cumulative effect eventually does. Let's try height. What height is tall? 5 feet might not be, but 7 feet definitely is. What about 6 feet? Or 6'2"? No specific height magically makes you tall. It's relative. Even age, when does someone become old? Is it 60, 70, or 80? Each day doesn't make you old, but as years pass, perception changes. So, how do we deal with this? Except that some concepts are fuzzy. Words like heap, bald, or rich don't have precise definitions. They're on a spectrum with no sharp boundary. We create arbitrary cutoffs to avoid disputes, like saying, a heap of rice is 100 grains or more. But that doesn't solve the problem. Why 100 and not 99? It's a made-up rule. Avoid thinking in black and white. Instead of forcing strict categories, recognize things exist on a continuous scale. Also, meaning changes based on the situation. A heap in your backyard differs from a heap on a construction site. The Sorites Paradox shows us language can be ambiguous, leading to interesting logical problems. By understanding this, we can be more flexible in our thinking and avoid getting caught up in defining everything perfectly. It's about acknowledging the shades of gray. Bootstrap Paradox. Let's explore the Bootstrap Paradox, a mind-bending concept where time travel creates mysterious origins. Imagine something or someone's past becoming untraceable due to time travel. Like a movie plot, it challenges cause and effect. The Bootstrap Paradox involves an object, information, or person traveling back in time, creating a loop where its start is unknown. Consider giving someone a book they love so much they go back and give it to you before you write it. Who wrote it then? Let's use examples. Someone becomes famous inspired by a historical figure, then travels back to become that figure. That's the paradox in action. Their fame's inspiration is them, creating a loop, making the origin impossible to trace. Imagine a musician receiving hit sheet music from a stranger, becoming famous, then time traveling to give the music to their younger self. Who composed it? Lost in time, it's stuck in a loop. Consider tech. An inventor gets a circuit diagram from the future, creating a world-changing device, then sends the diagram back, ensuring they receive it. The diagram's origin becomes paradoxical, a loop with no start. Even in culture, predestination has a character who is their own mother and father, defying logic. How does this challenge time and causality? Normally, events are linear, A to B to C. The paradox makes it circular, A to B to C to A, tangling cause and effect. Philosophically, does time need to be linear? Can the future affect the past? What about free will? Philosophers debate this, fueled by the paradox. Scientifically, it's a thought experiment. Physics suggests time travel is complex, likely restricted to prevent paradoxes. Some theories suggest parallel universes or self-healing timelines. To avoid paradoxes, one idea is the many worlds interpretation, where each decision splits the universe into outcomes. Changing the past creates a new timeline, not altering the original. Another theory says the past is fixed, making attempts to change it destined to fulfill events. Time travel is possible, but change isn't. Closely related is the Grandfather Paradox, focusing on preventing one's own existence by stopping grandparents from meeting. While the Bootstrap Paradox concerns origins, the Grandfather Paradox concerns the traveler's existence. In conclusion, the Bootstrap Paradox challenges time, causality, and free will. Though possibly unreal, it encourages deeper thought about reality. Next time you watch time travel movies, watch for the Bootstrap Paradox. You might be surprised. Barber Paradox. Let's explore the Barber Paradox, a quirky concept that seems like a movie scene but is a head-scratcher in logic and set theory. Imagine a small town with one barber who shaves all men who don't shave themselves, but not those who do. Who shaves the barber? If he shaves himself, he shouldn't, because he only shaves those who don't. If he doesn't, he should be shaved by the barber himself, a classic paradox. This isn't just a brain teaser, it's a version of Russell's paradox, a key idea in set theory by Bertrand Russell. Think about sets, collections of things. Most sets don't contain themselves, like a set of cats not being a cat. But some do, like the set of all non-cats including itself. Russell asked, what about the set of all sets that don't contain themselves? Does it contain itself? Like the barber, contradiction arises. What does this have to do with real life? The paradoxes highlight how we define rules. Think about work policies. You want them clear, but they can create unintended loopholes. Paradoxes remind us that well-intentioned rules can have unexpected outcomes. Consider a social media platform defining acceptable content. A rule might say, remove content promoting violence. But what if a historical war documentary is posted? Does that promote violence or educate about its consequences? Applying the rule gets complicated. The platform must refine definitions and create exceptions. In programming, this happens often. Code should handle all inputs, but edge cases can crash systems. It's like a program checking itself for errors. If the checker has an error, it might miss its own flaws, leading to failure. The lesson is to be careful about self-reference and circular definitions. These paradoxes show language and logic, while powerful, have limits. They challenge us to think critically about assumptions and frameworks. Next time you set rules, remember the barber. It might save you a headache. Temperature paradox. Hey everyone, ever heard of the temperature paradox? Sounds sci-fi, right? It's real, affecting many English-speaking countries. Let's explore it. So, what is this? Simply, it's when air warms higher up, opposite of normal. Usually, higher means colder. Imagine climbing a mountain, chilly at the top, right? This inversion is a trick the atmosphere plays. Where does it happen? California, USA, is a start. Cities like Los Angeles and San Francisco are known for it. LA traps cool ocean air under warmer air, like a lid, causing smog. San Francisco, with its Golden Gate Bridge, also sees this with fog. Next, Denver, Colorado. High in the Rockies, cold air slides down, settling in the city. Warmer air sits on top, inverting temps, especially in winter, worsening air. Imagine a bowl of chilly air with a warm blanket on top, not great for breathing. Across the pond, London, UK, has history, notably the 1952 Great Smog. Then, pollution was awful, an inversion trapped smog for days, a disaster. London's cleaner now, but inversions can still happen, less severely. Think of the city shaking off its smoky past. Canada, too. Cities like Vancouver, near mountains and sea, get inversions. Geography traps cool air under warmer air, nature mixing things, not always well. Why does this matter? Inversions cause problems, mainly air pollution. Trapped air means nasty stuff like car exhaust stays put, leading to smog, making breathing hard. Asthma sufferers struggle. It's like a bad air bubble, no fun. Also, inversions affect weather, preventing clouds, causing dryness, or trapping moisture, causing fog. The atmosphere gets stuck, affecting agriculture to transport. Imagine driving in fog or facing drought because of no clouds. So, what to do? Reduce pollution. Drive less, use transport, support clean energy. Be mindful, choose cleaner air. Lift the lid, let air circulate. In short, the temperature paradox affects many places, especially English-speaking countries. It causes pollution, affects weather, impacts health. Understanding it and reducing pollution helps make cleaner, healthier cities. Stay curious, breathe easy. Abilene Paradox. Imagine deciding dinner with friends. Everyone agrees on a restaurant, but secretly, you'd rather eat elsewhere. Not wanting to rock the boat, you go along. Turns out, everyone felt the same, ending up with a mediocre meal. That's the Abilene Paradox. The Abilene Paradox explains why groups make decisions contradicting individual desires. Named after a family's unwanted road trip to Abilene for dinner. It's like agreeing to a terrible movie because everyone seems excited, then pretending to love it. How does this happen? Fear of speaking up is key. People worry about unpopular opinions or disagreeing. Nobody wants to be the odd one out. Then, there's assuming everyone agrees. Seeing agreement, we think we're missing something, like assuming a long restaurant line means amazing food, sight unseen. Avoiding conflict also matters. Disagreeing is uncomfortable, especially needing good relationships. Easier to go along than upset anyone. Don't forget peer pressure. Enthusiasm makes resisting hard, even with reservations. Consider a company board discussing a marketing strategy. The CEO loves it, everyone nods, despite doubts. Not wanting to challenge authority, they stay silent. The company invests heavily in a doomed strategy. Or friends planning a vacation. Someone suggests a resort, everyone agrees, though it's not ideal. Not wanting to be difficult, they go along. The resort is overcrowded, overpriced, not luxurious. Everyone regrets it, but no one admits initial hesitations. Vacation version of ordering an unwanted dish because everyone else does. The Abilene Paradox has serious consequences, especially professionally. It leads to poor decisions, wasted resources, dissatisfaction. Silenced opinions mean missed insights. Like baking a cake with half the ingredients, edible, but not great. Avoid the Abilene Paradox by creating a safe space for opinions. Solicit different views, value dissenting voices. Encourage open communication, challenge the status quo. Be the person asking, does this make sense for everyone? Assign a devil's advocate to challenge opinions and raise concerns. Like a built-in fact-checker. Create anonymous feedback opportunities for honest thoughts without reprisal, like online surveys or suggestion boxes. Remember, disagreement is okay. Healthy teams debate. Comfortable expressing opinions, even unpopular ones, groups make informed decisions. Like a lively debate with friends, disagreement leads to better understanding. Recap: the Abilene Paradox is unwanted decisions due to fear of speaking up, assumptions, avoiding conflict. It causes bad decisions, wasted resources. Avoid it by encouraging communication, valuing dissent, creating safety. Next time, remember the Abilene Paradox and speak your mind. You might save everyone from an unwanted trip to Abilene. Olbers Paradox. Let's explore Olbers Paradox. Why is the night sky dark? If the universe is infinite and filled with stars, shouldn't it be ablaze, like a cosmic light bulb? That's Olbers Paradox. Imagine a forest. A small forest lets you see through to the edge. But an infinite forest? You'd always see a tree, no gaps. Olbers thought the universe should be the same stars everywhere. So why isn't it bright? A simple idea was space dust blocking light. But that dust would heat up and glow, making the sky bright anyway. No luck. The real answer's first: the universe isn't infinitely old. It began with the Big Bang. Light from distant stars hasn't reached us yet. Think of it as super slow shipping. The universe is 13.8 billion years old, limiting our view. Second, the universe expands, faster and faster. This stretches light waves' redshift. Like a siren's pitch dropping as it moves away, light shifts red, some becoming invisible. Distant starlight is faint and redshifted. Third, stars die. They explode or fade away. The universe isn't static. Stars are born and die. Even in an infinite universe, not every point has a star shining now. Olbers Paradox isn't a paradox anymore. It helped us understand the universe's age, expansion, and star life cycles. Darkness in the night sky isn't emptiness, it's a glimpse into a vast, dynamic cosmos, a cosmic hide-and-seek revealing wonders. Identical twins paradox. Avoiding junk food? Focus on preparing a healthy meal instead of saying, "Don't eat junk food." Alright, let's dive into identical twins and their IQs. A topic more complex than you think. We're tackling nature versus nurture, how much intelligence is genetic, and how much is environmental. Are you born smart, or do you become smart? It's complicated. Scientists have debated genetics versus environment in intelligence for decades. Initially, genes were deemed crucial, then upbringing gained importance. Twin studies now show both intelligence and personality are genetically influenced. Why are twins, especially identical twins, important? Identical twins share DNA, perfect for studying genetics versus environment. Raising them differently reveals environmental impacts. The Minnesota study of twins reared apart, MISTRA, exemplifies this. What happens when identical twins grow up apart? Do they have the same IQ? Not always. Though similar, environmental factors cause differences. Twins born in Korea, separated at 2, one growing up in Korea, the other in the US, had a 16-point IQ difference. This is significant, as twins raised together usually differ by less than 7 points. A Swedish study comparing twins, one adopted, the other with their biological family, showed the adopted twin had a 4-point higher IQ. This highlights the impact of early environment. As you age, genes increasingly influence intelligence. In childhood, genetics accounts for 20 to 40%, adulthood 40 to 60%, and old age up to 80%. Young, you're influenced by family, school, but later, genes have more influence. Environment matters. Family situation, education, and socioeconomic status shape IQ. Educated parents take kids to museums, read more, and stimulate conversations, aiding cognitive development. The Korean twin had a higher IQ, likely due to Korea's intense education. The U.S. twin experienced more depression, PTSD, highlighting environment's impact on mental health. Scientists identified 52 intelligence-linked genes, 40 previously unknown. These explain 20% of IQ variation, influencing brain cell development like nerve cell differentiation. Don't assume genes determine everything. Twin studies show genetics' importance, but avoid genetic determinism. Gene-environment interplay is complex, with individuals responding differently to environmental factors based on genetic predispositions. Twin studies reveal differences in maternal characteristics, family environments versus non-twin pregnancies, affecting the fetus. IQ heritability increases with age. Rarely, a sibling with biological parents, higher education, income, has a higher IQ than one raised by adoptive parents. Jevons Paradox. Imagine you're aiming to be eco-friendly, swapping old light bulbs for LEDs thinking, "Great, I'm helping the planet." But then you leave lights on all the time because they barely use energy. That's like the Jevons Paradox. It's the idea that improving resource use efficiency can lead to increased overall consumption, not less. Back in the day, William Stanley Jevons noticed that more efficient steam engines led to increased coal use. Why? It became cheaper and easier to do things with coal, sparking more factories and trains. What about now? Self-driving cars are meant to be efficient. But if everyone drives everywhere more often, we might see even more cars on roads, burning more fuel. Oops, the problem worsened. AI is another example. It's supposed to boost efficiency, but training AI models demands huge computing power and electricity. As AI gets cheaper, its widespread use could spike energy consumption. Solving one problem creates a bigger one. Consider AI models like GPT-4. Initially, it cost $36 per million tokens AI's words. Now, GPT-4o costs only $4. Cheaper options are emerging, great for access but potentially increasing overall energy demand. DeepSeek, a new AI from China, promises cheap power, which is excellent for innovation. However, we might overuse AI, consuming more energy than anticipated. To address the Jevons Paradox, combine efficiency with policies that maintain or increase resource costs. Carbon taxes or energy consumption limits could help. It's about enjoying the cake without the stomachache. The Jevons Paradox complicates the idea that efficiency is always environmentally beneficial. We must consider resource usage and avoid creating new problems. Solving environmental issues requires changing how we view consumption and sustainability. Horned Paradox. Let's explore the Horned Paradox through everyday logical fallacies. Instead of complex philosophy, we'll spot gotcha moments in arguments. First, the strawman fallacy, twisting arguments to ridicule them. For instance, climate change, they want us in the Stone Age. Ditching fossil fuels. Climate advocates push for sustainable energy, gradual change, not a Stone Age reset. It's easier to attack a straw man. Another example, gun control, so you want to take away everyone's guns when the actual argument is about sensible regulations. Next, the false dilemma, presenting only two options, ignoring others. If you're not with us, you're against us, ignores neutral positions. Or, support this policy, or hate the company, maybe there's a better way. For example, imagine your manager asks about the candidate for the role, and you respond with, "If you are against hiring excellent people, then you don't think excellent people are needed for our company," when you simply have some other opinions regarding the hiring process. Now, the hasty generalization, conclusions from too little evidence. Met one rude French person, all French are rude. Judging a book by one page, or a country by one tourist. Another good one, if someone fails several interviews, and assumes, "I can't do anything. I will fail everything from now on." Then, the red herring, distraction from the real issue. Argue environmental impact, someone says, "But it'll boost the economy." Smoke bombs to divert attention. For instance, someone could claim that, "This policy does not protect the environment," and have someone respond with, "But this policy will contribute greatly to economic growth." Ad hominem, attacking the person, not the argument. Can't trust Sarah's economics opinion, she's a terrible driver. Driving irrelevant to economic expertise. A cheap shot avoiding substance. Or someone saying that, "The policies that persona brings up are nonsense, he was involved in a corruption case in the past." Next, circular reasoning. Using the conclusion to justify it. God exists because the Bible says so, and the Bible is the Word of God. Chasing your tail. It's like saying, "The contents in this book are real because it is written that way in this book." Lastly, false cause, assuming one event caused another. Wore lucky socks, team won, socks made them win. Superstition, not logic. It's like saying, "I had a cold recently, but a black cat passed by in front of my house. The black cat must be a sign." So, that's logical fallacies in life. Spotting them helps you think clearly, decide better. Recognize tricks people use, sometimes unknowingly, to persuade. Stay sharp, question, avoid those traps. Two-child problem. The two-child problem, it's a real issue, especially when you look at how it impacts families in English-speaking countries. Let's dive into what this is all about. First off, money. Raising kids is expensive, seriously. In the UK, low-income families struggle with costs. Sometimes parents skip meals to ensure their kids eat. Imagine borrowing money just for groceries or not affording healthy food. That's tough. The two-child limit policy doesn't help. Critics argue it restricts benefits, worsening child poverty, affecting over 1.6 million kids. In the US, parents are stressed, majorly. Half feel overwhelmed daily, and parents with kids feel lonelier than those without. It's a lot to handle. It's not just money, though that's huge. It's also about support, or lack thereof. Countries with better birth rates usually have systems in place to help parents balance work and family. They spend more on childcare and family support, making a big difference. Think about juggling work, school runs, and a personal life. It's a circus act. In the UK, more single-parent families now face challenges like affordable housing and low incomes. Then there's language, especially for immigrant families. Parents speak Korean, kids answer in English. Common, but it can create a barrier. If parents aren't confident in English, communication is harder, leading to problems. Kids might pick up on attitudes about not speaking English well, causing issues. Now, a fun fact: to keep a population steady without immigration, You need about 2.1 kids per family. That's the number. Some see 3 kids as a big family, but many policies offer benefits starting at 2 kids. So, having 2 kids is common, but it comes with challenges. So, what does this mean? Raising 2 kids in an English-speaking country is no walk in the park. It involves navigating financial pressures, societal expectations, and family life's chaos. But hey, knowing your challenges is half the battle, right? Icarus Paradox. Let's talk about the Icarus Paradox. Heard of it? It's why successful companies crash. Think of it as a warning, like bombing a test after acing one because you got cocky. What is it? Named after Icarus, who flew too close to the sun. In business, it's when companies get arrogant, stop innovating, and fail. Danny Miller coined it after seeing it in failing businesses. Nokia, remember them? Mobile phone kings. They missed smartphones, confident in their OS. Apple and Android made apps and touchscreens, while Nokia pushed old phones. They went from dominant to irrelevant, like a friend with a flip phone. Kodak invented digital cameras, but focused on film profits. They underestimated digital photography and went bankrupt. Like refusing Spotify for CDs, you get left behind. Swiss watch industry? Masters of mechanical watches. They scoffed at cheap digital watches in the 70s, 80s. Their craftsmanship was superior, right? Wrong. They almost died and had to reinvent themselves. Like Blockbuster refusing to stream, thinking people wanted DVDs. How does this relate to you? Maybe you're great at your job now. But if you get complacent and stop learning, you risk an Icarus Paradox moment. The job market changes fast. Mastering MySpace isn't impressive now. Are your relationships comfortable, knowing each other well, and not trying anymore? Relationships need effort. Stop communicating, stop trying, and you drift apart. Like eating pizza every night and never working out, it fails. How to avoid it? Stay humble. Don't let success inflate your ego. What got you here won't keep you here. Embrace change. Experiment and adapt. Never stop learning and expanding your knowledge. It's like a shark. Stop swimming, you die. Listen to feedback. Avoid yes men. Get honest feedback from trusted people. They see what you miss. Like asking if that haircut looks good or if they're being nice. The Icarus Paradox is a reminder that success isn't guaranteed. Work at it, or crash like Icarus. Stay hungry, stay foolish, and keep flapping. Don't let pride come before the fall. Avoid the Icarus Paradox, always be alert. Archimedes Paradox, Hydrostatic Paradox. Let's talk about Archimedes Paradox, or the Hydrostatic Paradox. It sounds complex, but it's pretty cool when you see how it challenges our expectations. Ready to have your mind bent a little? Imagine different containers, some wide like cocktail glasses, others skinny like beer glasses, all filled with water to the same height. Which one has the most water pushing down? You might think the wider one, right? More water, more weight. But here's the twist. Archimedes figured out that the force on the bottom doesn't depend on the container's shape or the amount of water. Just the water column's height and the bottom area. Pressure is key. Pressure equals force divided by area. With the same height, the pressure is equal. Mind-blowing, huh? Think of it like stacking books. The pressure on the floor depends on the weight above a certain area, not the size of the books. Water acts the same way. It ignores the container's shape, focusing on height and the area it presses on. Real-world time. How do dams work? They hold back tons of water. The force they withstand depends on the depth, not the lake's length. A small, deep reservoir can exert the same force as a large, shallow one if the depth at the dam is the same. Archimedes Paradox in action. Engineers focus on water depth when designing dams, not just volume. Submarines use this too. Pressure depends on depth, not the submarine's shape. This is vital for subs facing deep-sea pressures. Deeper means more pressure, hot dog, or pancake shape aside. Water towers are another example. They're high up to provide water pressure. The water's height determines your tap's pressure. Skinny or fat tower, height matters most. Great shower pressure? Thank Archimedes and hydrostatics. To nail this, picture a container narrow at the bottom, flaring at the top. The water pushes outwards, and this force helps support some of the water. So, the bottom doesn't support all the water's weight. Pressure depends on depth and area, not total volume. Next time Archimedes Paradox comes up, drop some knowledge. Height and area matter, not the container's shape. Sound smart and maybe start a conversation about dams, submarines, and water towers. It's not just abstract physics, it affects our lives daily. Amazing, right? Peto's Paradox. Ever wondered why whales, the ocean's giants, seem to dodge cancer more than tiny mice? It's Peto's Paradox, a real puzzle scientists are still solving. Bigger animals have more cells, right? More cells mean more chances for mutations that cause cancer. Logically, whales should be full of tumors, but they aren't. Why? That's the big question. Recent research from 2025 looked at 263 animals, from amphibians to mammals. They found larger animals tend to have higher cancer rates. So, what about Peto's paradox? Here's the twist: animals that evolved to be large quickly, like elephants, also developed great ways to fight cancer. It's nature's way of balancing things. Elephants have similar cancer rates to much smaller tigers. They've got built-in armor against cancer. How do these creatures do it? Scientists have ideas. One is tumor suppressor genes. Big animals might have more of these, making them resistant to mutations. It's like a backup for your backup. Another idea is tumors fighting each other. Cancer cells mutate and start battling themselves, starving each other out. And even if a big animal gets a tumor, it might not be a big deal. A golf ball-sized tumor in a whale is tiny to us, not life-threatening. Take minke whales, they adjust microsatellites to control cancer. Microsatellites are genetic repeaters, and too many mutations can cause cancer. By controlling them, minke whales play genetic defense. This research helps us understand animals and could lead to new cancer treatments for humans. By studying how animals resist cancer, we might find new drugs or therapies. It's like learning from nature. Imagine building a skyscraper versus a small house. The skyscraper has more parts, so there's a higher chance of faults. But if the skyscraper had sensors and repair systems, it could fix problems before they get big, making it as safe as the small house. That's like what happens with big animals and cancer. Next time you see a whale or elephant, remember they're cancer-fighting champions. Peto's paradox isn't solved, but research gives us insights into how life survives. Maybe we'll unlock cancer resistance and use it ourselves. Future research will study animal anti-cancer tricks, use genetics to help endangered species, and develop cancer treatments. It's a field that could change everything. Stability-Instability Paradox. Let's talk about the Stability-Instability Paradox. It's a bit of a mouthful, but it's a pretty interesting idea. Basically, it suggests that having nuclear weapons can actually increase the likelihood of smaller conflicts. Sounds counterintuitive, right? Shouldn't nukes prevent war? Well, it's not that simple. Think of it like this: imagine two kids on a playground. If one kid has a super powerful water balloon launcher, the other kid might be less likely to start a full-on water balloon war. That's the stability part. But what if they start throwing pebbles at each other instead? That's the instability part. They know escalating to the water balloon launcher level is off limits, so they feel safer engaging in minor annoyances. That's how it can work with countries and nuclear weapons. They're too scared to go all out in a nuclear war, but they might feel more comfortable messing around with smaller, conventional conflicts. A clear example is India and Pakistan. Both countries have nukes and a history of tense border skirmishes, like the Kargil War in 1999. Pakistan essentially thought, India won't nuke us over a small border dispute, so we can push things a bit. It's a risky game, because those small pushes can sometimes escalate into something much bigger. Another example is the US and China in the South China Sea. Both have nukes, making a full-scale war unlikely, but they're constantly in conflict over territory and resources. They're building islands, sending warships, and generally making each other nervous. The worry is that some accident or miscalculation could quickly escalate the situation. And it's not just about nukes, new technologies like AI are also playing a role. Imagine AI-powered weapons making decisions in a fast-moving conflict. They might misinterpret something or make a mistake that leads to escalation. It's like giving a toddler a loaded gun. Even if the toddler doesn't mean harm, accidents happen. So, what's the main point? The Stability-Instability Paradox reminds us that having powerful weapons doesn't guarantee peace. It can create new kinds of risks. We need to be very careful about managing these risks, or a small conflict could spiral out of control. That's the gist of it. Grim Reaper Paradox. Alright, let's explore the Grim Reaper Paradox. What's the core idea? It's that thinking about death can actually improve your life. Reflecting on mortality enhances appreciation for being alive, serving as a powerful wake-up call. This ties into memento mori, Latin for remember you must die. Stoic philosophers championed this, believing that recognizing life's finiteness encourages focus on priorities, discarding trivialities, and maximizing each day. It's about realism, not morbidity. Let's consider various perspectives. Life and death present a philosophical puzzle, where death is life's only certainty. Finding meaning involves acknowledging both life's value and limitations. There's also the concept of the rights of the dead. The phrase, dead person, seems contradictory, as death negates life, making rights for the deceased appear illogical. Death isn't entirely bleak, It can signify the end of suffering or a new beginning, depending on beliefs. Accepting death as part of life is key. Death is universal but personally inexplicable. It's both ordinary and extraordinary. Consider a terminally ill person contemplating ending their life to avoid suffering. This highlights the conflict between valuing life and seeking a painless death. Hospice care aims to make final days comfortable and meaningful for patients and families, promoting dignified endings. Some practice memento mori by contemplating their funeral or viewing art about death, which alters life perspectives. Losing loved ones serves as a wake-up call, fostering gratitude for existing relationships. Thinking about death can shift priorities from material possessions to experiences, relationships, or making an impact. Recognizing mortality improves time management, focusing efforts on important matters. It also aids in overcoming regrets. As Becker noted, guilt stems from unlived life. Remembering death clarifies true priorities. Cultural attitudes towards death vary. English-speaking societies are generally open, while others may be reserved. Religion influences views on the Grim Reaper paradox based on afterlife beliefs. Personal beliefs also shape interpretations. In summary, the Grim Reaper paradox, viewed through an English-speaking lens with practical examples, offers valuable insights. Hopefully, it stimulates reflection without causing undue heaviness. Fermi Paradox. The Fermi Paradox is a big question mark. We see billions of stars, each with planets. And think, surely, we aren't alone. But where is everyone? Named after physicist Enrico Fermi, it questions why. Given the universe's age and vastness, we haven't found alien life. In 1950, Fermi wondered where all the aliens were. Shouldn't we have heard something by now? The universe is old, about 13.8 billion years. The Milky Way has hundreds of billions of stars, many with planets. With so many chances, life should have arisen on other planets. Why the silence? Maybe we are alone. The conditions for life, especially complex life, might be incredibly rare. Earth could be a cosmic fluke. Or, everyone is out there, but too far away. Space is mind-bogglingly vast. Even at light speed, travel between stars takes thousands of years. Civilizations might be too distant to detect or reach us. We've only sent radio waves for a century, a tiny bubble in the cosmic ocean. The Great Filter theory suggests a barrier prevents life from advancing. This could be natural catastrophes or self-inflicted disasters. Civilizations might wipe themselves out before space travel or face evolutionary hurdles. Some believe advanced civilizations aren't interested. They might use communication we can't comprehend, or observe us like a zoo hypothesis. Like watching ants, you're aware but don't converse. The dark forest theory is more ominous. Popularized by Lou Sixon, it suggests civilizations stay quiet out of fear. In a dangerous universe, revealing oneself makes you a target. We might also be looking wrong. Aliens might use unknown technology. SETI relies on radio waves, like finding a symphony by drumbeats. The Fermi Paradox is philosophical, forcing us to confront our place and humanity's future. Are we alone, rare, or doomed? Or not listening enough? It reminds us how much we don't know. The universe is mysterious, and the search for life is compelling. Finding alien life or not, the quest is valuable. It encourages exploration and questioning. Remember the Fermi Paradox when looking at the stars. It's a cosmic puzzle challenging us to think big and wonder. Maybe one day we'll find the answer, or it will find us. What the tortoise said to Achilles. Imagine Achilles, the lightning-fast Greek hero, racing a tortoise. He gives the tortoise a head start, but here's the twist. Achilles reaches the tortoise's starting point, but the tortoise has already moved a bit. Achilles runs to that new spot, yet the tortoise inches forward again. This continues endlessly, Achilles always closing the gap, but never quite overtaking the tortoise. This is Zeno's paradox, specifically the Achilles and the tortoise paradox, illustrating infinite regression. Why is it a paradox? It challenges our understanding of motion and infinity, suggesting motion is an illusion. Achilles would win, obviously. The paradox arises from infinitely dividing space and time, creating an infinite series of ever smaller gaps. The key is that while the steps are infinite, the total time Achilles needs is finite. Like adding 1/2 plus 1/4 plus 1/8 and so on, the total never exceeds 1. It's a convergent series. Achilles catches the tortoise, proven by math. The paradox highlights the contrast between our intuition about motion and the mathematical concept of infinity. Where does this infinite regression appear in real life? Not always literal races. Imagine improving a skill, like guitar. You practice, nearing your ideal sound, but there's always more to learn, presenting new challenges. It's an infinite regression in personal growth. Consider troubleshooting a computer. You fix a bug, then find a related issue. Solve that, uncover another minor problem. It feels like endless chasing, each step closer to a perfect system, but with potential problems lurking. This reflects refinement in many situations. Think about perfecting a recipe. Tweak ingredients, adjust time, refine presentation. Each try brings you closer, yet there are always improvements, new flavors, techniques. The quest becomes an infinite regression of culinary exploration. Even in project management, complete a task, realize a detail needs fixing. Correct that, another issue arises. Each correction nears completion, but the process includes endless minor adjustments. This doesn't mean giving up. Instead, understand progress is incremental, perfection is an ideal, not a destination. Enjoy improvement, recognize the journey's value, even if the goal remains just out of reach. Embrace the regression, see it as learning, and don't let perfection stop you from acting and celebrating achievements. Berkson's Paradox. Let's talk about Berkson's Paradox. It's when two things seem connected but really aren't, because of how we're looking at the data. Sounds weird? Let's use examples. Think dating. Ever heard, good-looking guys are jerks? That's Berkson's paradox. Imagine women want decent-looking guys with good personalities. A super hot guy might get away with being a jerk because his looks make up for it. A less attractive guy needs an amazing personality. So, when you look at who women date, you see hot jerks and not so hot nice guys. Looks like being good-looking means you're more likely a jerk, but that's because of women's standards, not because looks and personality are related. Another one, imagine hospital patients. People with diabetes are less likely to have gallbladder problems. Crazy, right, because diabetes is a risk factor? But hospitals are full of people with specific problems. Looking only at people in the hospital, you're not seeing the whole picture. Maybe people with diabetes are there for diabetes-related stuff, and gallbladder people are there for that. You're seeing specific groups, and it looks like diabetes protects you from gallbladder issues, which isn't true. COVID-19. Some studies said smokers were less likely to get seriously ill from COVID. Backwards, since smoking is terrible, right? Berkson's paradox might be why. Who ends up in the hospital with COVID? Really sick people. Smoking and severe COVID are linked to hospitalization. If you only look at hospitalized patients, it seems like smoking protects you from severe COVID. Because you're not seeing smokers who didn't get severely ill and didn't need the hospital. It's like focusing on a small puzzle piece. Final example, a fire. More firefighters, fewer injuries, right? What if the worst fires need the most firefighters? Data may show fires with more firefighters have more injuries, implying firefighters cause injuries. The data doesn't account for fire severity, which correlates to injuries and firefighters. Fires with many firefighters also have many injuries, because those are bad fires. Remember, Berkson's paradox is how choosing data tricks us into seeing unreal connections. It's like colored glasses. When looking at data, think about collection and hidden biases. It saves wrong conclusions. Berkson's paradox is a reminder to be careful with data. Don't take everything at face value. Think about data collection and what's missing. Otherwise, you might believe good-looking guys are jerks, or smoking protects you from COVID, and nobody wants that. Drinker Paradox. Let's unravel the Drinker Paradox, or as I like to call it, Logic's, why's everyone staring? It's perplexing, but simpler than assembling IKEA furniture post-beer. It suggests that in any pub, someone exists such that if they're drinking, everyone is. Sounds off? That's the point. It hinges on material implication in logic. If A is true, B follows. Crucially, if A is false, the entire statement is true, even if B is absurd. Real-world examples clarify this. A politician promises, if I'm president, free ice cream for all. If they lose, is the statement false? No, the condition wasn't met. It's technically valid, though meaningless, like saying, if pigs fly, $1,000,000 handouts. You're safe. Consider commercials, take this pill, stay young forever. If ineffective, is it a lie? No, false premise, technically true, wrinkles are not. Harsh, but logical. It's a cheat code for statements. Everyday scenario, lottery win, car for you. Dud ticket, car owed? Nope. Condition unmet, money saved. Why a paradox? Our brains crave sense. We expect cause and effect. Yet, this paradox shows logic's indifference to expectations. It follows set rules. It's about initial conditions. If unmet, anything's valid. Conditional statements demand caution. Politicians and advertisers thrive here, making technically true claims without delivery. A magician's trick, distracting while deceiving. So, remember this paradox in pubs, speeches, or infomercials. Ask if it's meaningful or logical smoke. It might save disappointment or offer food for thought while waiting for that overpriced drink. Logic can be a buzzkill, exposing assumptions and language's slipperiness. But understanding paradoxes levels up critical thinking. You see hidden structures, resist scams, and make informed choices. A superpower against bad arguments. That's cool. Embrace paradoxes, question everything, and avoid face value. Life's complex but interesting. Great party stories, even if misunderstood, matter. Cheers to sound logic, even in an illogical world. The paradox is a reminder to stay sharp, question all, and avoid undeliverable promises, unless you're okay with the implications. Ross's Paradox. Loss aversion is a key concept in behavioral economics. It means the pain of a loss feels stronger than the pleasure of an equivalent gain, like losing $100 feeling worse than finding $100 feels good. This bias impacts our daily decisions, often without us realizing it. Let's explore some real-life examples. When investing, you might hesitate even with profit potential, fearing money loss. The fear outweighs the excitement. Your brain says, better safe than sorry, even if it means missing out. Think about a tanking stock you hold, hoping it bounces back. This is loss aversion. You avoid admitting a mistake and potentially digging deeper. Consider job choices. Ever feel stuck in a disliked job, knowing you could find better? It might be loss aversion, fearing lost security, even if a new job offers more satisfaction. A bird in the hand seems safer, even if the bush looks promising. In daily life, it shows in many ways. Hesitating to try a new restaurant, fearing it might be bad, that's loss aversion. Avoiding disappointment, even if you find a favorite spot. Or sticking to the same coffee order, not risking something new you might dislike. Free shipping is an example. Once used to it, it's hard to revert. Companies know this, offering free shipping thresholds. They know people hate losing an existing benefit, even if the cost is small. Marketers exploit this constantly. Ads saying, "Don't miss this limited time offer," play on loss aversion. They make you feel like you lose out if you don't buy now, framing the purchase as avoiding a loss, not gaining something new. Governments are also affected. Cutting social programs, even if ineffective, is tough because of public protest. Fearing benefit losses, even small ones, is a strong motivator. Consider price presentation. $5 discount, or avoid $5 surcharge, the wording matters. People react differently based on perceived gain or loss, even if the amount is the same. Classic example, a coin toss, win $300, lose $200. Even with a positive expected value, many hesitate. The potential loss looms larger than the potential gain. Organizations struggle too. Companies resist change, even if improving, fearing potential downsides. Those who might lose out tend to be louder than beneficiaries. A quirky one, fixing an old car, even if buying new is cheaper, that's loss aversion, reluctance to let go, even if irrational. Loss aversion is a strong bias affecting us all. Understanding it helps make rational decisions in investing, career, and purchases. Don't let fear cloud judgment. Risk aversion and the endowment effect are related. Risk aversion prefers a sure thing over a gamble, even if the gamble has higher value. The endowment effect values owned items more highly. Both connect to loss aversion's principle. Crocodile Dilemma. Alright, let's tackle the Crocodile Dilemma, a tricky situation more common than you'd think. It's all about promises, logic, and how they can clash, leading to confusing outcomes. Buckle up, it's a fun ride. Imagine this: a crocodile snatches a kid and promises to return the child only if the father correctly guesses what the crocodile will do. Guess right, kid goes free. Guess wrong, kid becomes lunch. Tough spot, right? What if the father says, "You will not return my child"? If the crocodile doesn't return the child, the father's guess was correct, so the child should be returned. But if the crocodile returns the child, the father's guess was wrong, so the child shouldn't be returned. See the problem? A real head-scratcher. This messes with the crocodile's head because any choice breaks its own promise or logic. It's like a game with no winning move, a total paradox. While we might not face crocodiles daily, we encounter similar dilemmas in different forms, from disagreements to business deals. Real-world example: price wars. Two stores lower prices to attract customers. Good, right? But if both do it, they make less profit, nobody wins. They're stuck in a loop, each trying to outdo the other, ending worse off together. It highlights how the best decision for one person or company backfires when everyone does the same. Another example: environmental pollution. Factories dump waste into a river, saving money by not treating it. But if everyone does, the river becomes polluted, hurting everyone. Short-term individual gains lead to long-term collective pain. Regulations and agreements protect common resources for this reason. So, the crocodile dilemma and similar situations teach us the most logical choice isn't always best. Understand the bigger picture and consider how our actions affect others. Thinking about these dilemmas helps us make better decisions, from deals to working together. Leontief Paradox. Let's dive into the Leontief Paradox. Ever heard of it? It's a quirky concept in economics that shook up beliefs about international trade. In the 1950s, Wassily Leontief analyzed U.S. trade patterns. You'd expect a capital-rich country like the U.S. to export capital-intensive goods, big factories, fancy machines, and import labor-intensive goods, hand-stitched clothing. But Leontief found the opposite: the U.S. exported more labor-intensive goods and imported more capital-intensive ones. A head-scratcher, hence the paradox. Why wasn't the U.S. following the rules? Economists have explanations. One is labor productivity. The U.S. has always been efficient in production. Even with fewer workers, high productivity creates a larger effective workforce. So, the U.S. could still produce labor-intensive goods effectively. Another factor is human capital, the skilled workers, engineers, and scientists. They boost productivity, letting the U.S. compete in knowledge-intensive industries. Then there's natural resources. The U.S., while resourceful, lacks some resources, making it logical to import resource-intensive goods, even if capital-intensive to produce. Finally, there's demand. Americans love buying goods made with abundant resources, skewing the trade balance. You might ask, what does it mean for me? The Leontief Paradox shows international trade is more complex than just comparing capital and labor. Technology, skills, and consumer preferences shape trade patterns. Consider today's global supply chains. A gadget assembled in one country might use parts from many others. It's hard to label it capital or labor-intensive, as each step differs. Technology also changes things. Automation makes even labor-intensive industries capital-intensive, blurring lines. Trade policies, like tariffs and agreements, impact imports and exports, either amplifying or lessening the Leontief Paradox. So, the Leontief Paradox, though old, remains relevant. It reminds us the world is complex and interconnected. Simple theories aren't enough, you need the whole picture including technology, skills, consumer behavior, and trade policies to understand things. Raven Paradox. Let's explore the Raven Paradox, or Hempel's Paradox. It questions what evidence truly means. Does seeing a green apple tell us anything about whether all ravens are black? Sounds odd, right? But follow me. The statement, "all ravens are black," implies, anything non-black isn't a raven. Basic logic. The paradox arises when we consider evidence. We assume a black raven confirms, all ravens are black. But this logic suggests a red apple, a blue car, or a yellow banana also confirms, all ravens are black. Because they're not black, and not ravens. Brain-bending. Imagine chilling in your room, doing indoor ornithology. Not looking at ravens, just noticing non-black items. A red apple, green book, purple pen. Each supposedly gives a tiny bit of evidence for all ravens are black. Feels wrong, doesn't it? We're dealing with universal generalization, making a rule always true, like all ravens are black. Nikod's criterion says if something fits the rule, it's evidence. Black raven? Evidence. The equivalence condition is the issue. Evidence for one statement is evidence for any equivalent statement. All ravens are black is the same as anything non-black isn't a raven, so a red apple becomes evidence. Real-life spin, proving all socks in your drawer are white. White sock, great. Blue shirt in your closet, not a sock. Does that strengthen your belief all socks are white? Ridiculous, but that's the paradox. Solutions? Our intuition might be wrong. Maybe a green apple gives tiny evidence, insignificant to notice. Bayesianism suggests a black raven is better evidence because we've seen tons of non-black things. A green apple isn't surprising or new. Consider background knowledge. We know what ravens look like. A non-black raven would be bigger than another green apple. Used to seeing four-legged dogs, another isn't news. Three-legged dog? Memorable. Some argue Nikod's criterion is wrong. A black raven doesn't automatically confirm, all ravens are black. Generalizing's a problem. Can't check every raven. Maybe a pink raven's chilling somewhere. Actually, 1 in 10,000 ravens are partially, completely white. Anything being a certain way is tricky. The Raven Paradox isn't just a brain teaser. It shows proof, evidence, and confirmation are complex. It questions gathering information and assumptions. It encourages critical thinking and careful evaluation. Next green apple, think ravens, logic, and our mind's strange ways. Ironic process theory, the mind's sneaky paradox. Ever tried not thinking about something, like a giant pink elephant, only to have it parade through your brain? That's ironic process theory in action. The harder you try to push a thought away, the more it sticks around. It's like telling a kid, "Don't touch the cookie jar," and bam, they're elbow deep in crumbs. Back in 1987, psychologist Daniel Wegner figured this out. Your brain's got two systems at play here. First, there's the distraction team, working to fill your head with anything but the forbidden thought. Think Happy Puppies or your favorite song. Sounds great, right? But then there's the sneaky monitor, a mental guard that keeps checking. Hey, you thinking about that pink elephant? No? Let's double check. Every check brings that elephant right back, louder and prouder. This happens all the time in real life. On a diet? Tell yourself, no pizza, and suddenly you're dreaming of cheesy slices. Got a big presentation? Trying to suppress those jittery nerves just makes your heart race faster. Can't sleep? The more you obsess over falling asleep, the more you're wide awake, counting ceiling cracks. It's even worse with stress. When you're overwhelmed, your brain's too tired to keep that monitor in check, and those unwanted thoughts go wild. It gets deeper. In relationships, trying to bury jealousy can make you hyper-focused on every little glance your partner makes. For folks with OCD, this paradox is a real struggle. Pushing away intrusive thoughts just fuels the cycle of obsession. So, how do you beat this mental trap? Stop fighting. Let that pink elephant waltz through your mind and wave it goodbye. Mindfulness, like meditation, helps you let thoughts pass like clouds. Instead of saying, no junk food, focus on chopping veggies for a salad. Keep stress low with sleep or a fun hobby. Your brain's less sneaky when it's relaxed. Next time you're stuck on a thought, don't wrestle it. Smile, nod at that elephant, and let it wander off. You've got this. Birthday Paradox. Imagine walking into a room full of people, like at a party. What are the odds that two people share the same birthday? You might think it's unlikely unless there are many people. That's where the birthday paradox comes in, and it's more surprising than you expect. The birthday paradox isn't a logical contradiction, but a counterintuitive probability problem. It states that in a group of just 23 people, there's a greater than 50% chance that two of them share a birthday. Increase the group to 70, and the probability jumps to over 99%. So, how does it work? It feels wrong because we often frame the question incorrectly. We tend to think about, what's the chance someone shares my birthday, which is low in a group of 23. But the paradox asks, what's the chance that any two people share a birthday? This seemingly small shift makes a big difference. Let's break it down. With only two people, the chance of them not sharing a birthday is high, 364 out of 365. With three people, you calculate the chance the third person doesn't share a birthday with either of the first two. The more people, the more complex the calculation, but the core idea is the same. You're multiplying probabilities of not sharing a birthday, and as you add people, that overall probability decreases rapidly. Each person added introduces a new pairwise comparison. With 23 people, you're comparing every birthday to every other birthday. That's many comparisons. Specifically, with n people, there are n times n-1 divided by two possible pairs. So with 23 people, that's 23/22 divided by 2 equals 253 possible pairs. Each pair is a chance for a shared birthday. Let's bring this into the real world. Think about large organizations, companies, or online communities. The birthday paradox tells us that within those groups, it's likely that at least two people share a birthday. It's not just about birthdays either. This principle pops up in scenarios where you're looking for matches within large datasets. For example, in computer science, hash functions assign a short code to data. The birthday paradox is relevant when considering the probability of hash collisions, where different pieces of data get assigned the same hash code. This can lead to errors, so understanding the birthday paradox helps developers choose hash functions that minimize these risks. Another application is in cryptography. Imagine a hacker trying to find two different messages that produce the same cryptographic hash, a collision attack. The birthday paradox makes this type of attack easier, because the hacker just needs to find any two messages that collide, drastically reducing the attempts needed. Online lotteries also feel the impact. Organizers should know there's a decent chance multiple people could choose the same numbers if the pool of options isn't large enough. This doesn't affect the odds of winning, but it could mean more people share the prize. The birthday paradox is a perfect illustration of how probability can defy our intuition. It's a reminder that our gut feelings about statistics can be misleading, and it's important to think through the math to truly understand. It also showcases the power of combinatorics, how the number of possible combinations can quickly grow. So, next time you're in a room with a group, ask about birthdays. You might be surprised to find a match sooner than you think. It's a fun party trick and a great way to introduce people to probability. Plus, it's a good conversation starter. Hey, did you know that in a group of just 23 people? Progress Paradox. Alright, let's unpack this progress paradox thing, especially how it messes with folks in English-speaking countries. Basically, it's the idea that even with all the fancy gadgets and stuff, people aren't necessarily happier. Sounds weird, right? Let's break it down. First up, the US of A. You'd think with all that money floating around, everyone'd be grinning. But no, there's a huge gap between the mega rich and everyone else. The top 1% are swimming in cash while lots of regular folks struggle to make rent. This inequality breeds resentment and makes people feel like they're always chasing something they can't reach. Plus, despite having everything at their fingertips, mental health issues like depression and anxiety are skyrocketing, especially among the younger crowd. It's like, they've got all the toys but no batteries. Americans are also becoming more isolated. That go-it-alone attitude means fewer strong connections with family and friends, leading to loneliness. Across the pond in the UK, things aren't rosy either. Brexit stirred the pot, causing major divisions. Folks argue about the economy, immigration, and what it means to be British. It's a mess that's left people feeling uneasy. Then there's the housing crisis, especially in London. Young people shell out crazy money just to have a tiny place to live, adding stress. The UK is also known as one of the loneliest countries. Loads of older folks are totally cut off, which is heartbreaking. Now, let's hop over to Canada. They're usually seen as chill, but they've got their issues. The cost of living in cities like Vancouver and Toronto is insane. Trying to buy a house is like trying to win the lottery, nearly impossible for many young Canadians. Canada also hasn't fully dealt with its history of mistreating Indigenous people. There's still discrimination and inequality, hurting those communities. Down under in Australia, they're battling tough stuff too. Climate change is hitting them hard with wildfires and droughts. People worry about the environment and whether life can be sustainable. Plus, everyone's crowding into the big cities, leaving rural areas to dry up. That means fewer opportunities for folks who don't live in Sydney or Melbourne. Some argue that the Progress Paradox is a downer. They say it's hard to measure happiness since it's different for everyone. Just because someone has money doesn't automatically mean they're miserable. Life's gotten way better in many ways. We're living longer, curing diseases, and learning more than ever before. So, the Progress Paradox is real. It's showing up in different ways in English-speaking countries, from money problems to mental health struggles and environmental worries. It's something we need to think about so we can work towards making things better for everyone, not just a few. Preface Paradox. Ever heard of something so true, it's almost not? Let's explore the Preface Paradox. It's not a new movie, but equally mind-bending. Imagine picking up a book where the author admits everything they say might be wrong. Why read on? That's the paradox, a statement undermining itself profoundly. Think of it like this: when starting a project, you think you know what you're doing. Then reality hits, and your initial confidence seems naive. Life imitates the Preface Paradox. We start confidently, but the journey reveals flaws in our assumptions. Let's not get lost. It's not just books, it's everywhere. Consider dieting. People start diets convinced it'll work. The preface? I'll lose weight and keep it off. The paradox? Most diets fail. The claim crumbles under the weight of tasty temptations. Or tech. A company launches a gadget, promising it'll change your life. This phone will connect, inspire, and do your taxes. The preface. 6 months later, a newer model arrives, making your gadget old news. Paradox again. Politics is fertile ground. A politician promises change, hope, a brighter future. The preface is powerful. But then reality gridlock, compromises, bureaucracy sets in. The change feels like more of the same. They wrote a preface they couldn't keep. Even relationships show this. I'll always be there, someone says genuinely. A beautiful preface. But life happens, people change, and always becomes shorter than imagined. The paradox isn't lying, it's human nature. So, is everything a lie? Abandon prefaces? No. The preface paradox isn't cynicism, it's awareness. Recognizing initial beliefs are just that, initial. A starting point, not a guarantee. Embrace the journey, even when it disproves our preface. Next time you hear a promise from a politician, company, or yourself, remember the preface paradox. Smile, nod, and prepare for the real story. The truth is more interesting than any preface. Stay humble, curious, and question everything, even your own narrative. Stockdale Paradox. The Stockdale Paradox, have you heard of it? It's not just motivational fluff. It's about confronting reality while maintaining unwavering faith in eventual success. Think superhero stuff, right? Admiral Jim Stockdale, a Vietnam War prisoner for over 7 years, originated this concept. Facing torture with no release date in sight, he survived by acknowledging his harsh situation without losing hope. So, how does this apply to life? Imagine your small business faces a massive downturn. Sales plummet, bankruptcy looms. The Stockdale Paradox doesn't suggest faking optimism. Instead, admit the grim reality. Okay, this is bad. Really bad. Acknowledge the severity, analyze failures, identify threats. Then, have faith. Despite the bleakness, believe you'll navigate the storm and emerge stronger. This isn't blind optimism, it's resilient conviction. Brainstorm strategies, cut costs, innovate customer reach. Pivot to online sales, offer new services, collaborate. Face facts, but never lose faith. Say you flunk a vital exam. Ouch. The Stockdale Paradox advises, acknowledge it. No sugarcoating. You failed, discover why. Insufficient study? Distractions? Material misunderstanding? Facing facts matters. Yet, don't wallow. Believe you can improve. Create a study plan, seek help, commit to mastering the material. Don't just hope, actively work, driven by success. Consider personal health. Suppose you get a life-altering diagnosis. Scary. Overwhelming. The Stockdale Paradox isn't denial. Understand your condition, treatments, lifestyle changes. Simultaneously, believe in managing health, improving life quality, living fully. Research treatments, consult experts, proactively manage health. Realism mixed with hope. Investors use the Stockdale Paradox constantly. The stock market is volatile, portfolios suffer hits. Acknowledge that. Don't panic, making rash, fear-based decisions. Assess the situation, understand downturn reasons, determine if your investment strategy still works. Maintain faith in long-term investment value, resisting short-term setbacks. The Stockdale Paradox balances courage in facing ugly reality with nurturing unbreakable faith to overcome. It's not toxic positivity or wishful thinking, but realistic hope grounded in action and resilience. Next time facing hardship, remember Admiral Stockdale. Face facts, never give up believing you'll prevail. Russell's Teapot. Imagine this scenario: you're hanging out with a friend and they drop this wild claim like, there's totally a teapot orbiting somewhere between Earth and Mars. Sounds kinda crazy, right? You'd probably ask them, okay, prove it. That's basically the gist of Russell's Teapot, a thought experiment cooked up by the philosopher Bertrand Russell. He used this teapot idea to poke holes in the notion that we should believe something just because nobody can prove it's not true. Let's break it down a bit more. Russell said if he claimed there was a teapot so tiny it was impossible to see with our telescopes orbiting the sun, no one could really disprove him. But he argued that just because you can't disprove it doesn't make it reasonable to believe it. It's not on you to disprove the teapot, he said, it's on him to provide some evidence that it exists in the first place. Think about it in everyday life. Suppose someone tells you, positive thinking brings guaranteed success. You might ask, where's the proof? It's not your job to prove positive thinking doesn't work, it's up to them to show that it does. This applies to all sorts of claims, from conspiracy theories to marketing promises. Now some might say, but science is all about proving things wrong. True scientists do try to disprove their own theories to make sure they're solid. But there's a difference between actively testing a hypothesis and just accepting something with zero evidence. Russell's Teapot isn't about being closed-minded or denying possibilities. It's more about critical thinking. It's a reminder to ask for evidence, to be skeptical of extraordinary claims, and to understand that the burden of proof lies with the person making the claim. So next time someone throws a wild idea your way, remember the teapot. It's a handy tool for navigating the sea of information and separating what's reasonably believable from what's just a shot in the dark. Don't just accept things blindly, always ask for the teapot proof. Newcomb's Paradox. Imagine this scenario: you're facing two boxes, box A and box B. Box A is transparent and contains $1,000. Box B is opaque, meaning you can't see inside. Here's the twist. Box B either contains $1 million or is empty, and a super-intelligent predictor has already made their prediction about what you'll do. If the predictor believed you'd only take box B, they put $1 million inside. If they thought you'd take both boxes, they left box B empty. The catch is, the predictor has already made their prediction and left before you make your choice. Your decision won't change what's already in the boxes. So, what do you do? Do you take just box B, or do you take both boxes? This is Newcomb's paradox. Let's break down the two choices. Option 1, take only box B. If the predictor was right, you walk away with $1 million. Option 2, take both boxes. Sure, you get the guaranteed $1,000 from box A, but if the predictor was right, box B is empty. You end up with only $1,000. Some argue that because the prediction has already been made, your choice can't affect what's in box B. Therefore, grabbing the extra $1,000 from box A is logical. Others believe that the predictor's accuracy means your choice influences the outcome. If you intend to take only box B, the predictor likely foresaw this and filled it with $1 million. Think of it like deciding whether to trust a weather forecast. The forecast says it will rain tomorrow. You have two choices: take an umbrella or leave it at home. If you take the umbrella and it rains, you're prepared. If you leave it at home and it doesn't rain, you're not burdened. In this scenario, the weather forecast is the predictor, and your decision is your choice in Newcomb's paradox. Do you base your decision on the forecast, or do you make your own judgment regardless? Another example is the stock market. Suppose a financial analyst is almost always right. If they predict a stock will rise, should you buy it? If they predict it will fall, should you sell? If you believe them, you might act accordingly. However, if you believe the market is unpredictable, you might make your own decisions regardless. Here's where it gets interesting. The paradox highlights a problem in decision theory. Do we make decisions based on expected utility? Which means choosing the option that gives us the highest expected value. Or do we consider the causal relationship between our actions and the outcome? Newcomb's paradox is more than just a brain teaser. It makes us question how we make decisions when faced with uncertainty. There's no right or wrong answer. It all boils down to how you perceive the situation and what you believe to be the most rational course of action. What would you do? Sleeping Beauty Paradox. Let's dive into the Sleeping Beauty Paradox. It's a probability puzzle that messes with your beliefs. Imagine you're Sleeping Beauty in a thought experiment. Here's the setup. You agree to an experiment. On Sunday, you learn the details, then sleep. A coin is flipped. Heads, you wake on Monday, get interviewed, then memory erased back to sleep. Tails, you wake on Monday and Tuesday, same deal each time. Wednesday, it's over. The question is, waking up, not knowing the day, what's the chance the coin landed heads? What's your gut say? There are two main ideas. First, the 1/3 camp says there are three possibilities: heads on Monday, tails on Monday, tails on Tuesday. Each is equally likely. So, heads is 1 out of 3. Makes sense? Then, the 1/2 crew says, wait, the coin flip is 50-50. Waking up more doesn't change that. Heads or tails, plain and simple. Why should my awakenings change the odds? That's their point. So, which is it? 1/3 or 1/2? Nobody really knows. Mathematicians and philosophers argue endlessly. It's a paradox because both sound logical but disagree. Why care? It's not just a puzzle. It's about how we think about probability and evidence. Think of medical diagnoses. A doctor has odds of a disease based on stats. Then they get test results. How does that update their beliefs? This paradox makes us think about how new info changes beliefs. More practical, you're an investor. You think a stock has a 60% chance of rising. Then you get market data. Stick to your view, or adjust based on the data? How much weight for each? The problem shows combining beliefs with evidence is tricky. It forces you to think about weighing info and deciding under uncertainty. Or, you're a manager estimating timelines. A project has an 80% chance to finish on time. But you get updates, delays, roadblocks. Adjust your estimate? More pessimistic, or stick to it? It shows updating beliefs isn't easy. The paradox also touches on self-locating belief. Your perspective changes when you learn about your situation. Sleeping Beauty wakes, gains info she's in an awakening, but doesn't know which one. That changes her view, making it interesting. It's not just the coin, it's how her knowledge changes the odds. The takeaway? It's not just a brain teaser, it's a reminder probability and belief are trickier than we think. It makes us think about updating beliefs with new info, and shows simple questions can have complex answers. Whether you're a mathematician, philosopher, investor, or just curious, this paradox has something. It encourages questioning assumptions, thinking about evidence, and embracing uncertainty. Next time you wake up, appreciate not being Sleeping Beauty with memory-erasing experiments. But ponder the paradox, it might change how you think. Sphere aversion. Imagine holding a perfectly round ball, like a basketball. Now, picture turning it inside out without cuts or tears. Sounds impossible, right? That's sphere aversion, a concept in differential topology. It's smoothly turning a sphere inside out in three-dimensional space, allowing self-intersection. Think of it as surgery on a basketball in fourth dimension, but we're in 3 dimensions. Think of it this way, you can easily turn a sock inside out. But a sphere? More complex. The trick is allowing the sphere to intersect itself during. No cutting, no gluing, just smooth, continuous deformation. Picture this basketball slowly morphing. Parts of the surface push through others, creating temporary creases. These aren't sharp bends, but smooth transitions, like pushing your finger into Play-Doh as it reshapes. George Francis visualized this. He created computer animations in the 1970s, helping people see what sphere aversion looks like. Before that, it was theoretical, formulas hard to grasp for those not deep in math. His animations showed a sphere gracefully changing, folding until the inside became the outside, and vice versa. This touches on deeper ideas about space and surfaces. It shows how things are more flexible than we think. Intuition says you can't turn a sphere inside out without breaking it, but sphere eversion proves that wrong, thanks to self-intersection. Like origami, but instead of folding paper, we're folding space. You might ask, what does this have to do with real life? It might not help you bake or fix your car, but the underlying principles pop up in unexpected places. Understanding how surfaces change is crucial in computer graphics, helping create animations. The math has applications in fluid dynamics, helping model complex flows. It's also related to understanding liquid crystals, used in many electronics. Sphere eversion can improve our technology. Sphere eversion isn't just a mathematical curiosity, it's mind-bending, challenging our perceptions of space. It shows math isn't just numbers, it's exploring limits and discovering truths. Its lessons help with graphics and physics. So, next time you hold a ball, remember it's more than just a ball, it's a gateway to mathematical wonder. Bonini's Paradox. Ever heard of Bonini's Paradox? It's a mind-bender that says, the more accurately you describe something, the less useful it becomes. Sounds odd? Let's use everyday examples. Imagine explaining how to make a PB&J. A general explanation, like, put peanut butter and jelly on bread, is simple but lacks detail. What bread? How much peanut butter? Crunchy or smooth? Now, the other extreme. Describing it with incredible detail. Take 2 slices of Pepperidge Farm whole wheat bread, exactly 4 by 4 inches. Use a Wilton spatula to spread precisely 17 grams of Jif creamy peanut butter evenly across 1 slice, 0.08 centimeters thick. Then, a clean spatula, apply 12 grams of Smucker's grape jelly. Accurate, but who's following that? Too much to be practical. Bonini's paradox in action. More detail, less useful. Think of maps. Showing every tree, pothole, blade of grass would be accurate but useless for navigation. You couldn't see the forest for the trees. A good map simplifies, highlighting important roads and landmarks, even omitting details. Like telling a friend how to get to your house. Go down Main, left on Elm, right on Oak, third house on the left. Or, detail every sidewalk crack, house color, front door GPS. Which helps more? This paradox appears everywhere, like medical diagnoses. Doctors could run every test for the most accurate health picture. But that's costly, time-consuming, maybe harmful. They focus on relevant tests based on symptoms for a useful diagnosis without data overload. Or coding. Detailed comments explaining every code line? If comments exceed the code, no one reads them. Good code has clear, concise comments explaining why, not how, useful context without minutiae. Even relationships. Analyze every aspect of your partner to understand them perfectly? You'd drive yourself and them crazy. Sometimes, accept you can't know everything and appreciate them. The key is balancing accuracy and usefulness. Too little detail, vague and unhelpful. Too much, overwhelming and impractical. Figure out essential information to make the description understandable and actionable. So, remember Bonini's paradox. Strive for clarity, conciseness, and don't get lost in details. Your audience and sanity will thank you. Benardete's Paradox. You might be surprised. Benardete's Paradox. Imagine everyone driving to work instead of using public transport. Convenient for individuals, right? More space, no waiting, direct routes. But what if everyone thinks alike? Gridlock. This is Benardete's Paradox, where individual rational choices lead to collectively irrational outcomes. Let's explore real-world examples. Consider plastic water bottles. Buying bottled water is convenient for instant hydration. But multiply that by millions, and you get plastic waste polluting oceans. Each choice seems harmless alone, but together, it's ecological disaster. Same for gas-guzzling cars, minimal impact alone, but collectively contributes to pollution. Consider competitive pricing. Coffee shops undercut each other. Initially, customers win with cheaper coffee, but shops can't profit, cut corners, quality drops, or close entirely. Everyone's stuck with fewer, worse options. It's a race to the bottom. Or the stock market, individual investors seeking quick profits create bubbles and instability. Picture a fishing village where everyone overfishes. Each tries to maximize income, but the fish population plummets. Soon, no fish remain, and the village suffers. This is the tragedy of the commons, Benardete's paradox in shared resources depleted by self-interest. How about social behavior? Queue jumping saves minutes, but annoys others and disrupts fairness. Chaos ensues if everyone cuts lines. Or public Wi-Fi, one person's large download seems minor, but everyone doing it slows internet for all. Online behavior? Nasty social media comments. One person feels release, but negativity creates a toxic environment. Or fake news, done for attention, but erodes trust and causes real-world consequences. So, how to tackle this paradox? It's not easy, but here are ideas. Regulations. Governments set rules preventing individuals from harming the collective good. Environmental regulations limit pollution, fishing quotas prevent overfishing. These feel restrictive, but protect everyone long-term. Incentives. Instead of punishment, reward good behavior. Tax breaks for eco-friendly companies, subsidies for public transport. Financial benefit encourages actions benefiting everyone. Education is key. Many don't realize their impact. Raising awareness encourages informed, responsible choices. Promote critical thinking and media literacy to discern fact. Finally, foster community. Feeling part of something bigger increases consideration for others' needs. Encourage cooperation, volunteerism, social responsibility. Caring about community encourages actions benefiting all. Benardete's paradox is tricky but relevant. Understanding it helps us make better individual and collective choices for a sustainable, equitable world. Elevator Paradox. The elevator paradox is a concept showing how rational individual choices can lead to collectively irrational outcomes. Imagine waiting for an elevator in a busy building. Everyone presses the button to get to their floor quickly. But when everyone does this, the elevator stops at almost every floor, increasing wait times for all. This is the elevator paradox, where individual attempts at efficiency create collective inefficiency. It's similar to the tragedy of the commons. where individual self-interest depletes a shared resource, in this case, the elevator's efficiency. Real-life examples help illustrate this paradox. Consider traffic congestion. Drivers choose the fastest route, but if everyone does this, traffic jams occur, increasing everyone's travel time. The pursuit of individual speed leads to collective delays. Another example is in movie theaters. If someone stands for a better view, others follow, but no one's view improves, and everyone is less comfortable. Personal choices worsen the collective experience. Social media also demonstrates this. Users seek more likes and followers, posting sensational content. While some gain popularity, it creates a toxic online environment with misinformation and negativity. Long-term, the platform's quality decreases and trust erodes. Similarly, in the stock market, buying a stock based on rumors creates a bubble. When it bursts, many lose money, showing how individual profit-seeking can destabilize markets. Another case is overfishing. Each fisherman aims to maximize catches, but if everyone does, fish populations decline, harming everyone in the long run. How can we solve the elevator paradox? Balancing individual and collective well-being is key. Regulation, like traffic lights or elevator rules, can coordinate behavior. Better information helps too. Real-time traffic updates or elevator wait times allow informed choices. Cooperation is crucial. Carpooling, public transport, and elevator sharing reduce congestion and improve efficiency. Technology also helps. AI-powered elevator systems optimize dispatching, reducing wait times. Smart traffic systems adjust to changing conditions. Essentially, the elevator paradox shows individual rationality doesn't guarantee collective rationality. Overcoming it requires considering our actions' impact and cooperating for the common good. Understanding this paradox helps us make better decisions in commuting, investing, and social media use. Recognizing our interconnectedness and the ripple effect of our actions leads to better outcomes for all. Promoting collective efficiency and easier, more productive lives. Understanding the elevator paradox helps understand other seemingly illogical situations around the world. Exercise paradox. The exercise paradox is a concept that many grapple with, especially when pursuing fitness goals. It suggests that more exercise doesn't always mean more calories burned or weight lost. You hit the gym, put in effort, but the scale doesn't budge. Frustrating, right? Let's explore real-life examples. One scenario is the diet dilemma. You start exercising, like running or spin classes. You feel good, but also incredibly hungry. You eat more to compensate, negating the calorie deficit. A sneaky trap. You burn 300 calories exercising, then reward yourself with a 500-calorie coffee and muffin. Another aspect is how our bodies adapt. When you start a routine, your body initially burns significant energy. As you adjust, your body becomes more efficient, burning fewer calories for the same activity. Your body says, "I got this," running without wasting energy. This causes plateaus. To overcome this, challenge your body with varied workouts, intensities, and keep it guessing. Consider a broader view. A study compared active African Bushmen to sedentary New Yorkers. Surprisingly, their energy expenditure was similar. Our bodies compensate for increased activity by reducing energy use elsewhere. Your body might regulate temperature better or decrease non-exercise activity, like fidgeting. It's maintaining balance, no matter exercise. Even moving a lot, your body conserves energy elsewhere. What does this mean for your fitness? Exercise is great, but not the only piece. If you're serious about health, consider the whole picture: diet, sleep, stress, and lifestyle. Combine exercise with a balanced diet for a deficit. Watch what you eat, don't overcompensate for exercise calories. Also, be mindful of adaptation. Don't stick to the same routine. Challenge yourself, try new things, and keep your body guessing. Remember, exercise is more than burning calories. It improves cardiovascular health, strengthens muscles, bones, boosts mood, and reduces chronic disease risk. Even without weight loss, you're benefiting your body and mind. In conclusion, the exercise paradox highlights metabolism's complexity and a holistic health approach's importance. There are no quick fixes. Sustainable results come from consistent exercise, a balanced diet, and a healthy lifestyle. Keep moving, learning, and striving for a healthier you. Don't be discouraged by bumps. It's part of the journey. Air conditioning paradox. Let's talk about air conditioning, that magical box that keeps us cool. But it's not all good news. There's something called the air conditioning paradox. Basically, air conditioners cool our homes but pump heat outside, making cities hotter. It's like cooling your room by opening the fridge, not very effective. In the US, especially in the South and West, air conditioning is a way of life. It's boosted population growth and shaped architecture. But it uses a lot of energy, leading to carbon emissions. Some cities are painting roofs white to reflect sunlight. Europeans weren't always obsessed with air conditioning, but that's changing due to heat waves. More AC use strains the power grid, especially with the energy crisis. Some countries limit AC use in public places. The UK, with cooler summers, had record heat in 2022, suddenly needing AC. It's a global issue. As countries develop, AC use increases, straining power grids and increasing fossil fuel use, accelerating climate change. We want comfort, but it's harming the planet. So, what can we do? First, better building design. Passive techniques, like building orientation and insulation, can reduce AC needs. Imagine buildings designed to stay cool naturally. Shading walls or using reflective materials helps. Next, energy efficiency. Use high-efficiency AC and maintain them well. Refrigerant leaks are a major problem. It's like maintaining your car to save gas. Also, renewable energy. Cleaner energy sources reduce AC's carbon footprint. Solar panels powering AC is the future. Cities can plant trees and create green roofs to cool buildings, a natural AC system. Policy changes matter. Governments can set stricter standards, encourage eco-friendly refrigerants, and offer incentives for energy efficiency. It's about sustainable cooling. Next time you use AC, remember the paradox. Stay cool without heating the planet. Giffen's Paradox. Let's dive into the fascinating world of Giffen's Paradox. What is it? Simply put, it's an exception to the usual economics rulebook. If the price of something goes up, people actually buy more of it, and if the price goes down, they buy less. Sounds weird, right? Let's break it down. To understand this oddity, we need to talk about Giffen goods. A Giffen good has a few special qualities. First, it's an inferior good, meaning as people earn more money, they buy less of it. Think of instant noodles, or in some cultures, rice or potatoes. Second, it's a necessary good, something people need to survive. There aren't many good alternatives. Third, it takes up a big chunk of a poor person's budget, so any price change really affects their spending. How does this paradox play out in real life? One classic example is the Irish potato famine in the 19th century. Potatoes were the main food for poor Irish families. When the potato crop failed and prices soared, these families had to make a tough choice. They were so poor that they couldn't afford other foods, even as potato prices increased. They ended up buying more potatoes because it was the only thing they could afford to keep from starving. It became their singular source of nutrition. Another example is from China, in the Hunan province, where rice is a staple. It's argued that when the price of rice went up, poorer families couldn't afford meat or vegetables, so they bought more rice instead to survive. Let's imagine another scenario. Suppose a really poor person eats cheap noodles every day. If the price of those noodles increases, they might not have enough money left to buy meat or vegetables. They end up buying more noodles just to fill their stomach. On the flip side, if the price of noodles goes down, they might be able to afford some extra food, like an egg, and eat fewer noodles. Now, a word of caution. Giffen's paradox is pretty rare. For a product to truly be a Giffen good, the increase in price has to make people poorer, so they can't afford better things. And they end up buying more of the original, more expensive item. Why is it so rare? Because most of the time, if something gets too expensive, we just switch to something else, like buying chicken instead of beef. That's called the substitution effect. But with Giffen goods, the income effect is stronger than the substitution effect. The income effect means the price change has a big impact on your overall buying power. So, that's the Giffen's paradox in a nutshell. It's a weird, but fascinating, exception to the rules of economics that shows how people make tough choices when money is tight. It highlights the dire situations where survival trumps typical market behavior. Liar Paradox. Let's tackle the liar paradox. This sentence is false, or is it? It's a logic puzzle that messes with your mind. What's the paradox? It's a statement contradicting itself. Like, this sentence is false. If true, it's false. If false, it's true. Paradox. Where did it come from? Some say Epimenides started it, saying, all Cretans are liars. But that's not quite it. The real paradox came later with Eubulides, who asked, a man says he's lying, is he telling the truth? Let's get real, where do we see this? Imagine Mr. Gauss saying, my students are all liars, if he's truthful. He's a liar too, if he's lying, not all students are liars, head scratcher. Here's the Barber Paradox. A barber shaves those who don't shave themselves. Who shaves the barber? If he shaves himself, he breaks the rule. If he doesn't, he should. It's a loop. And the classic two sentences, sentence 1, sentence 2 is true, sentence 2, sentence 1 is false. They're stuck, neither true nor false. Why care? It messes with logic's foundations, challenging true or false. It's a glitch. Language can be tricky. People tried solving it. Russell's theory of types suggests language levels. Can't self-reference, Tarski said. True, false, are for specific sentences. In short, the liar paradox shows language and logic's trickiness. It's not just philosophy, it makes us think about truth and falsehood. Predictive processing paradox. Ever wondered how your brain anticipates what's next? Like an internal crystal ball, it can sometimes be hilariously wrong. That's the predictive processing paradox, and it's fascinating. Predictive processing explains how our brains understand the world. We don't just passively receive sensory info, we actively predict it based on internal models. When our prediction doesn't match reality, a prediction error, our brains adjust to improve future accuracy. Think of it as your brain constantly running simulations. How does it work? The brain uses a hierarchical model, with higher levels representing abstract concepts and lower levels processing sensory information. Each level predicts the sensory input that will occur at the lower levels. Prediction errors cause the brain to update its models. Let's explore examples of when these predictions go wrong, from an English-speaking perspective. First, optical illusions. These showcase the predictive processing paradox. In the Muller-Lyer illusion, equal lines appear different because of arrowheads. Your visual system misapplies predictions, making you perceive unequal lines. Your brain says, I've seen this before, these lines should be different, but it's wrong. Next, language processing. Prediction errors appear when understanding language. If a sentence throws you a curveball with an unexpected word, your brain notices. Reading, the cat will bake the bread, feels off. Bake isn't right, eat makes more sense. The unexpected word triggers a prediction error, requiring more brainpower. These errors are measured with brainwave responses like the N400. It's like your brain saying, that's not how the story goes. Social interactions involve constant predictions about others. If those predictions fail, things get awkward. Expecting someone friendly, but they act hostile? Prediction error. Your brain scrambles, burning cognitive energy. It's like your internal script clashes with reality. I thought we were friends, what's with the cold shoulder? Interestingly, mental health connects here. Predictive processing explains symptoms of disorders like schizophrenia. Schizophrenics might mispredict sensory input, causing hallucinations or delusions. Hearing voices without stimuli? The brain confuses internal models with reality, rewriting the script. But it's not all bad, the paradox shows up in everyday life. Walking, we expect the ground to support us. If it gives way, we stumble. Picking up a cup, we anticipate its weight. A plastic cup looking like glass? You might crush it. Oops, I overestimated. Animal camouflage uses this. Animals encourage a potential predator's brain to predict that the tree is just a tree. So, the takeaway? These examples give insights into how the brain operates. Studying them reveals how the brain understands, corrects errors, and learns. This applies to cognitive science, neuroscience, even AI. Cool, right? It's unlocking the brain's code. Schrödinger's cat. Let's dive into the mind-bending world of Schrödinger's cat, a quantum paradox both fascinating and a bit weird. Picture this, a cat in a box, not just any box. This one's rigged with a vial of poison that might break, depending on a random quantum event. Sounds like a bad joke, right? But it's a thought experiment making us question what we know about reality. So, what's the big deal? Well, according to quantum mechanics, until we open the box, the cat is in superposition. It's both alive and dead simultaneously. Like a coin flip in the air, neither heads nor tails, but a mix of possibilities. Crazy, right? Cats can't be both. In our everyday experience, they can't. But quantum mechanics plays by different rules, a fuzzy gray area of probabilities. Think of waiting for test results. Before the news, you're uncertain. Passed or failed, both exist until the official word. Not exactly Schrödinger's cat, because the result is determined, but it gives a sense of that in-between state. Where else might we see this? Consider new technologies. Before release, a product has potential, massive success or flop. Until it hits the market, its fate is uncertain. Each test brings us closer to determining its ultimate state. Why did Schrödinger create this? Not to torture animals. He was pointing out a problem with quantum mechanics. He didn't believe a cat could be in such a state. He showed that if we apply quantum mechanics to everyday objects, we end up with absurd results. The experiment highlights quantum superposition, things existing in multiple states. Also, the role of observation, forcing things to choose a state. Big philosophical questions arise. Does our observation change reality, or is reality just weird? Physicists and philosophers have debated this for decades. Next time you're uncertain, remember Schrödinger's cat. It's a reminder that things aren't simple, and reality can be stranger than we think. Omnipotence Paradox. Let's explore the Omnipotence Paradox, a mind-bending concept. Can an all-powerful being do anything? It seems simple, but quickly gets complex. The core question is this: if something is truly omnipotent, can it create a task it can't complete? The classic example is, can an omnipotent being create a stone so heavy that it cannot lift it? If it can, then it's not omnipotent because it can't lift the stone. If it can't, it's also not omnipotent because it can't create the stone. Confusing, right? This isn't just philosophical theory. It appears in real life more than you think. Take creative writing. What happens when a character is essentially a god? The story often becomes boring. If they solve every problem instantly, there's no tension. Writers often limit their powerful characters, creating artificial constraints to make the story interesting. They encounter the Omnipotence Paradox, needing to restrict power for the narrative's sake. Consider ethics too. If an all-powerful being exists and knows all the bad things that will happen, why doesn't it stop them? This is the problem of evil, a central question in theology. Does the being choose not to interfere for some grand, unknowable reason? Or, even with unlimited power, are there limitations, perhaps self-imposed? This forces us to consider power, choice, and consequences in complex ways. What about technology? Think about artificial intelligence. Some predict we'll create AI surpassing human intelligence. Imagine that AI is tasked with solving climate change. Could it devise a solution so radical it worsens the situation? Could its problem-solving ability itself become a problem? This is a futuristic take on the paradox, where unlimited intelligence faces its own limits. There are different perspectives on the paradox. Some argue the idea of doing anything is flawed. True omnipotence isn't about defying logic, it's about having ultimate power within logical bounds. Creating a square circle is impossible, not due to lack of power, but because it's contradictory. Others suggest omnipotence means doing anything, even things that seem contradictory. An all-powerful being could create an unliftable stone and still lift it. Ultimately, the Omnipotence Paradox isn't about proving or disproving an all-powerful being. It's about expanding our understanding. It makes us question power's true meaning, the nature of limits, and whether those limits are external or self-imposed. It appears in stories, ethical discussions, and even technological aspirations. It reminds us that even the most potent ideas have surprising twists, and exploring them can be enlightening. Friedman's Paradox. Friedman's paradox is when actions meant to fix a problem actually worsen it. Named after economist Milton Friedman, it highlights unintended consequences. Let's explore real-life examples. Consider raising the minimum wage. The intent is to boost earnings for low-wage workers. However, businesses might respond by reducing staff or increasing prices. This could lead to job losses and higher costs for consumers. So, the effort to help can backfire. Next, rent control. Governments may limit how much landlords can charge, aiming to make housing affordable. Yet, landlords might neglect maintenance or avoid new construction due to reduced profits. This results in fewer quality apartments and housing shortages. People struggle to find housing despite lower rent caps. It's trying to cut costs but ending up with fewer options and worse conditions. Then we have environmental regulation. Rules aim to clean air and water. But compliance can be expensive. Some companies might relocate to countries with laxer rules to save money. This may increase overall pollution elsewhere and harm our economy. Seeking a healthier environment can create unexpected issues. Lastly, financial regulation. Rules are meant to protect our money in banks and investments. However, too many rules can hinder company growth and innovation. Investors might seek riskier, unregulated options, leading to financial instability. Intending to protect us, excessive regulation can cause problems. It's a balance of safety and progress. Friedman's paradox shows we must consider all potential outcomes when trying to fix things, not just our desired ones. Like solving a puzzle, each piece affects the others. Otherwise, we risk making things worse. Keep this in mind to better understand the world. Simpson's Paradox. Let's explore Simpson's Paradox, a statistical puzzle where trends in separate data groups vanish or reverse when combined. Its data analysis meets a funhouse mirror. Individual groups show one thing, but the whole picture is different. Let's look at real-world examples. Consider kidney stone treatments, A and B. Treatment A is more successful for both small and large stones individually. Yet, combined, treatment B seems better overall. Why? Treatment type correlated with stone size, favoring A for small stones. This is classic Simpson's paradox. Then there's the 1973 UC Berkeley admission rates. Men were admitted more overall, suggesting gender bias. However, departments often admitted women at higher rates. The paradox? Women applied to more competitive departments with lower admission rates. Imagine a marketing campaign. The overall conversion rate drops post-website redesign. Disappointing. But segment the data, and conversion rates rose for both mobile and desktop users. Simpson's paradox reveals that a larger proportion of mobile users, with lower conversion rates, dragged down the overall rate. The redesign worked, but context matters. Consider marketing spend across product categories. Marketing costs decreased in each category. Yet, the overall marketing cost ratio increased. How? A sales surge in nutritional supplements, even with decreased marketing costs, inflated the overall ratio due to its larger sales share. Mind the business mix. The paradox even hits baseball stats. A player has a higher batting average each year than another. But combined, their overall average is lower. Why? Varying at-bats each year weight the averages differently. The takeaway? Careful data aggregation is vital. Seek lurking variables distorting relationships. Don't trust face value numbers. Dig deeper, segment the data, and understand the context to avoid flawed decisions. Critically, Simpson's paradox highlights identifying causal relationships. Resolving it involves categorizing data or accounting for confounding variables. Some argue it distracts from more vital statistical issues. In conclusion, Simpson's paradox helps us spot confounding variables and understand causal relationships. Use statistical methods, like multivariate analysis and causal inference models, to solve problems. Understand the data, don't misunderstand it. Got it? Zeno's arrow paradox. Alright, let's tackle Zeno's arrow paradox, a mind-bender that's puzzled thinkers for ages. The core question, can motion truly exist? Sounds straightforward? Prepare for things to get perplexing. Zeno, this ancient Greek mind, devised a thought experiment. Envision an arrow mid-flight. At any single instant, the arrow occupies a precise location. It's static, just there. Like a snapshot. If each moment is frozen, the arrow is invariably at rest. It never actively moves, existing as a series of static points. Ergo, motion is impossible. Paradox. You might initially think, that's absurd. I constantly observe motion. Valid. However, Zeno's paradox addresses our comprehension of motion, not observation. It challenges our logic. Imagine segmenting any movement into infinite frozen instances. How does actual movement arise? It's akin to assembling a film from still images. Each is static, yet rapid sequencing yields the illusion of motion. Calculus offers a perspective. Math to the rescue. Calculus manages infinitesimally small time slices. Rather than freezing the arrow, we analyze changes as time nears zero. This gives instantaneous velocity, the arrow's speed at a point. The arrow is technically still, but position changes over tiny intervals create motion. Clever, huh? Consider our reality perception. Brains aren't perfect recorders. Sensory inputs are merged into a continuous experience. The arrow appears to move because brains bridge gaps between frozen moments. Like a flipbook, known as drawings, but brains convert it into movement. Some physicists propose quantum mechanics as a solution. At minute scales, reality is grainy, not continuous. Time and space might fragment into discrete units, like screen pixels. Thus, Zeno's paradox collapses because time, space have a minimum. The arrow needn't exist at infinite points, it jumps pixel to pixel. Zeno's arrow paradox is more than an old thought experiment. It probes reality's core. What defines motion? Is time continuous or quantized? How do we perceive our surroundings? Philosophers, mathematicians, physicists still grapple with these questions. Next time you witness motion, contemplate its inherent mystery. Black hole information paradox. Let's unravel the black hole information paradox. A mind-bending puzzle in physics. It questions whether black holes destroy information. Not your search history, but fundamental data describing matter and energy. The story begins in 1974 with Stephen Hawking's Hawking radiation theory. Before, black holes were seen as cosmic vacuum cleaners, eternal and unchanging. Hawking showed black holes emit a faint glow due to quantum fluctuations near the event horizon, losing mass and eventually evaporating. The catch? Hawking radiation seems thermal, carrying no information about what fell in. Like burning a book, energy is released, but the word's information is lost. Here's the paradox. Quantum mechanics says information can't be destroyed. Every process is theoretically reversible. If a black hole swallows information and evaporates without releasing it, it violates this law. Imagine throwing encyclopedias into a black hole. As it evaporates, radiation tells nothing about their contents. Knowledge vanishes. Why is this a big deal? If information is destroyed, our physics understanding is incomplete. The universe isn't deterministic, the past doesn't define the future. Scientists have wrestled with this, sparking ideas. Some say information is stored elsewhere, maybe in a baby universe from the black hole, or encoded on the event horizon as a hologram. One idea involves quantum hair. Falling matter leaves a subtle imprint on the black hole's gravitational field, encoding information for later release. Another suggests information slowly leaks out, subtly, encoded in Hawking radiation. Hawking was wrong, the radiation isn't thermal, containing tiny correlations carrying information. Recently, consensus grows that information isn't destroyed, but the escape mechanism is a mystery. Researchers explore firewalls at the event horizon, burning anything crossing them. Others examine quantum entanglement and spacetime geometry, suggesting information is encoded in reality itself. In 2019, researchers verified Hawking radiation by creating an analog black hole, a sonic black hole, where sound couldn't escape, gaining insights into real black holes. The black hole information paradox challenges theoretical physics, questioning reality's nature. It reminds us theories may be incomplete, with vast unknowns. So, remember those giants challenging our universe. Understanding, one bit at a time. It's not just black holes. It's fundamental laws. Monty Hall problem. Alright, let's tackle the Monty Hall problem, a real head-scratcher that messes with your gut feeling. Picture this, you're on a game show with 3 doors. One hides a sweet new car, the others? Goats. You pick a door, say number 1. The host, Monty, who knows all, opens another, like number 3, revealing a goat. He then asks, switch to door number 2? Most think, 2 doors left, 50-50 chance, doesn't matter. Wrong. Switching doubles your odds of winning the car. Seriously. Why? Initially, you had a 1/3 chance of picking the car door, meaning a 2/3 chance the car was behind another. Monty opening a goat door doesn't change that. He's giving you info, saying, "Here, I'm ditching a losing option." Imagine 100 doors. You pick one, Monty opens 98 with goats. Stick or switch? Switch, right? Same principle, smaller scale. This isn't just a puzzle, it's real life. Investment decisions, for example. You invest based on limited info, then new data suggests another investment is better. Reconsider, says Monty Hall. Marketing strategies too. Campaign on one channel, results meh. Stick or switch? Adapt, says the problem, boost your success. Even medical diagnoses, doctors face this. Initial diagnosis, then new tests point elsewhere. Be open to changing your mind based on evidence. So, next time you get new info mid-decision, remember Monty Hall. Don't fear switching, it might double your win. Understand our instincts can mislead, new info is power. Cool, huh? Hilbert's Paradox of the Grand Hotel. Imagine the Grand Hotel, a place with infinite rooms, all occupied. Seems full, right? This is Hilbert's Paradox, challenging our understanding of infinity. The hotel is booked solid. A new guest arrives, seeking a room. The manager calmly says, "Everyone, move to the next room. Room 1 to 2, room 2 to 3, and so on." With infinite rooms, each guest shifts, freeing up room 1. The new guest gets a room, despite the hotel's full status. That's our first twist. Now, imagine infinitely many new guests arriving. How to accommodate them? The manager declares, room 1 to 2, room 2 to 4, room 3 to 6. Every guest moves to double their current room number. This frees all odd-numbered rooms, an infinite amount, for the new arrivals. Amazing, isn't it? Proposed by David Hilbert, this paradox isn't just a quirky thought. It shows a key trait of infinite sets. Unlike finite sets, you can add to an infinite set without changing its size. Infinity is strange, defying our usual number and space sense. Think real world. Sharing a digital file online, if only a limited number could access it, eventually, no one new could join. But the internet, being nearly infinite, allows countless downloads without blocking anyone. Or consider the number of websites possible, almost infinite, allowing endless creation. But, infinity has limits. Not all infinities are equal. Some are bigger. Hilbert's hotel can handle a countable infinity, meaning elements can be listed, though endlessly. Like whole numbers, 1, 2, 3, etc. Countable, yet never-ending. However, larger infinities exist that even Hilbert's hotel couldn't manage. Consider real numbers between 0 and 1, an uncountable infinity. You can't list them because between any two, infinitely more exist. Even Hilbert's hotel couldn't house all these, it's a larger infinity than hotel rooms. So, what's the takeaway? Hilbert's paradox shows how infinity works, or rather, how it differs from our daily experiences. It reminds us that our intuition, shaped by our finite world, can mislead us with infinity. Infinity is surprising and counterintuitive. The Grand Hotel may be fictional, but the paradox helps understand complex concepts in math and physics, like limits, sets, and dimensions. It helps grasp infinity's mind-bending nature. So, when feeling limited, remember Hilbert's hotel, always room for more. Or infinitely more. Barber Paradox. Let's explore the Barber Paradox, a tricky idea about language and numbers. It reveals how we can get tangled up when defining things with words. The paradox goes like this: the smallest positive integer undefinable in under 10 words. Defining it in 10 words creates a contradiction. G. Barry and Bertrand Russell explored this, showing language's potential for confusion. You might wonder if this matters in real life. While you might not encounter it directly, it highlights how language can trip us up. Consider these examples. Ads claiming, "Our product is the best." What does best mean? It's subjective. Defining a product as superior is shaky because best lacks a clear definition, mirroring the paradox. Social media influencers trying to be authentic perform authenticity. Saying, "I am being authentic now," is self-defeating, like the paradox where definition alters the nature of something. In a most original idea contest, submitting your idea compromises its originality as it becomes known. The pursuit of originality can undermine its core qualification. Someone saying, "I won't label myself," attempts to define themselves by what they aren't, creating a paradox. Kolmogorov complexity shows describing something can be harder than showing it. Describing a detailed image can exceed the image's data size. The Barber Paradox reminds us of language's limits. To address this, recognize language's slipperiness. Definable can be ambiguous. Alfred Tarski noted these paradoxes occur in semantically closed languages. Solutions involve creating language hierarchies or formal systems where such statements are impossible. Wikipedia suggests ambiguity in notions like definable causes the paradox, and addressing this ambiguity is key. The Barber Paradox reveals the limits of language, appearing in philosophy, math, and computer science. It highlights the importance of careful definitions. Trying to define something can alter it or create contradictions. So, remember the Barber Paradox when grand claims are made. It helps clarify language and may offer an interesting thought. Or perhaps a bet-winning question. Can you define the smallest positive integer undefinable in under 10 words? Banach-Tarski Paradox. The Banach-Tarski Paradox is a mind-blowing concept in mathematics. It states you can take a sphere, cut it into pieces, and reassemble them into two identical spheres. Yes, one ball becomes two seemingly from nowhere. It's math that defies intuition. Before thinking you can do this with a baseball, there are catches. The pieces are complex, infinitely jagged, non-measurable. Their volume is undefinable. Like measuring a fractal coastline, zooming in reveals more detail, increasing its length. It relies on the axiom of choice, allowing selection from infinite sets. It sounds harmless but has wild consequences. Some mathematicians dislike it due to counterintuitive results. Why a paradox? It defies everyday experience. We can't create matter from nothing. Rearranging doesn't increase the amount. It shows intuition, based on the physical world, doesn't always apply to abstract mathematics. Imagine a pizza, cut and rearranged. It looks different, but you haven't created more pizza. The Banach-Tarski Paradox is like cutting a pizza to get two. It's bonkers. Does it have real-world applications? Can it solve world hunger? Sadly, no. It's theoretical, working in abstract mathematics with non-measurable pieces. You can't do this with physical objects. However, it impacts how we view mathematics and infinity. Intuition, from daily experiences, misleads when dealing with infinite sets. It challenges assumptions. Remember the Banach-Tarski Paradox when confident in your understanding. It's a reminder of mysteries and seemingly impossible truths. It proves the power and strangeness of mathematics. The universe is full of surprises. Imagine digital images. A program creates two identical, higher-resolution versions from one low-resolution image. It rearranges data. The Banach-Tarski Paradox is similar, but with physical objects and a complex algorithm. If it applied to the real world, we could duplicate resources. The economy would collapse. Physics prevents this, keeping the paradox in pure math. In short, the Banach-Tarski Paradox challenges our understanding of space and reality. Mathematics is powerful and strange. The most mind-blowing discoveries defy common sense. Epimenides Paradox. Let's explore the Epimenides Paradox, a classic riddle that has puzzled people for ages. It challenges our understanding of truth and falsehood. Are you ready to have your brain teased a bit? Let's begin. Imagine Epimenides, a Cretan, declaring, "All Cretans are liars." Seems simple, right? But consider this, if he speaks the truth, he is a liar since he's a Cretan. Conversely, if he lies, not every Cretan is a liar, meaning he could be truthful. It's a paradox. This is akin to dividing by zero, causing your mind to whirl. The statement undermines our fundamental grasp of truth. It's a self-consuming loop. If the statement is true, it must be false, and if it's false, it might be true. It's quite perplexing. Now, why should this matter to you? This isn't just abstract philosophy. It has real-world relevance. Consider self-referential statements in computer programming. A minor error can trigger infinite loops or system crashes. Understanding paradoxes aids in crafting better code, averting digital disasters. Also, think about political rhetoric. Politicians often make sweeping claims about groups. Saying, "all members of Party X are corrupt," falls into the same trap. It's a generalization difficult to prove, fostering division. Recognizing the Epimenides paradox sharpens critical thinking, helping us detect flawed arguments. Consider advertising too. An ad stating, "This product is unmatched." Is it factual, or just hype? Paradoxical thinking helps us question claims we encounter daily, making us less gullible consumers. The Epimenides paradox serves as a tool for navigating modern complexities. It compels us to reflect on statements and claims, encouraging us to avoid generalizations and question assumptions. It's a valuable skill, wouldn't you agree? To simplify, imagine explaining this to a friend at a coffee shop. There's this statement that messes with your head. If it's true, it's false, and if it's false, it could be true. Crazy, huh? Consider this example. A sign reads, "The following sentence is false." The next sentence says, "The preceding sentence is true." This simple setup mirrors the Epimenides paradox, illustrating how logic can become tangled. Here's another view. Writing a review for a terrible product, you might say, "This is the worst ever." But is it truly? Is it worse than harmful products? Unlikely. The statement is exaggerated, conveying strong feelings, but isn't literally true. The Epimenides paradox highlights these nuances. It's related to the liar paradox. This statement is false. No cretin is involved. It's a sentence that negates itself, showing language and logic's limits. Next time you hear a bold claim, remember Epimenides. Ask, could this be a paradox? Is there an underlying contradiction? Is it as simple as it seems? By applying critical thinking, you become more informed and thoughtful. Who doesn't want that? In summary, the Epimenides paradox involves a cretin saying, "All cretins are liars." It's self-referential, creating a logical loop. It's more than a puzzle, it's a tool for understanding rhetoric and programming. It challenges us to consider claims and reminds us that things aren't always straightforward. Peto Paradox. Ever been stumped by something totally counterintuitive? Let's dive into the Peto Paradox. Forget fries, this is brain-bending math. Imagine 100 kilograms of potatoes, 99% water. Leave them to dry, now they're 98% water. How much do they weigh? Not 98 kilograms or 99 kilograms, but 50 kilograms. Half the weight. Crazy, right? The key is the non-water part, the solid stuff. Initially, 1% is solid, so 1 kilogram in 100 kilograms. This 1 kilogram doesn't change. After drying, that 1 kilogram is 2% of the total. If 1 kilogram is 2%, the total is 50 kilograms. The water now weighs 49 kilograms. Like a sandbag, sand stays the same, but its percentage changes with added water. How's this real life? It shows analyzing changes means looking at assumptions, focusing on constants. In finance, revenue might rise, but expenses rise faster, shrinking profit. Like the paradox, focusing on water revenue misleads if you ignore solids expenses. In ecology, small deforestation seems minor, but hits biodiversity hard. Like the solid potato, core elements become crucial as others vanish. In economics, small variable changes yield big results. Elastic demand means small price changes cause big quantity shifts. Consumers switch to alternatives easily. The Barber Paradox asks, who shaves the barber who shaves all who don't shave themselves? These tease logic and assumptions. Thrift Paradox, increased saving lowers demand, slowing growth. Individual logic doesn't always yield collective good. Consider substitution and income effects. Substitution is buying more when prices drop. Coffee's expensive? Switch to tea, it's cheaper. Income effect is price changes impacting buying power. Cheaper goods mean more money, so buy more of it or splurge elsewhere. Next time you peel potatoes, think paradox. Things aren't always as they seem, dig deeper for truth. It's not just math, it's critical thinking, problem solving, and understanding. Plus, great dinner conversation. Trust me, you'll be interesting. What a mind-bending journey through 60 fascinating paradoxes and dilemmas. We hope your brain's buzzing with new insights, ready to spark some epic conversations. But don't stop here, there's more curiosity to feed. Next up on Kind Sleep Wiki, join us for Level 1 to 100, Everyday Mysteries You Never Questioned, Fall Asleep Curious. Ever wonder why yawns are contagious, what dreams really mean, or why time flies when you're having fun? We'll unravel these daily mysteries, blending science, psychology, and a touch of philosophy to make you rethink the world around you. From the science of laughter to why déjà vu feels so weird, each level will leave you smarter and more curious. So, hit that subscribe button, turn on notifications, and let's keep falling asleep curious together. See you in the next one.